Chapter 2942. There were many supremacies in the palace. Most importantly, all 5 great supremacies were here. Elysian's son and Duguigian were teleported out with serious injuries. When the 5 great supremacies heard the news, they immediately rushed over to help them suppress the power. When they learned that they went to the 3rd floor of the Shadow Throne, they were shocked. Ever since the Shadow Throne had appeared, very few people had been able to reach the 3rd level of the Shadow Throne. Most of them were on the 2nd level. This time, someone actually entered the 3rd floor of the Shadow Throne and even fought with the Dark Shadow Demon Lord. This was beyond their expectations. The 5 great supremacies worked together and spent a lot of effort to suppress the terrifying power in the 2. When they heard that Lin Fei was still inside, they couldn't help but worry. Especially when they learned that Lin Fei was leading the way, they all looked at him in a different light. All the great supremacies present had been to the Shadow Throne before, but they had to return after a short while. However, they also knew how terrifying the Shadow Labyrinth was. Great Supremacy Han Tian didn't want anything to happen to his disciple. Being able to walk in the Shadow Labyrinth was equivalent to mastering the changes. In the future, the next batch of people would have an absolute advantage. Lin Fei had become very important. Lin Fei came out in a sorry state. Great Supremacy Han Tian was the first to feel relieved. It's good that you came out. It's normal that you couldn't beat the Dark Shadow Demon Lord. When Lin Fei saw the 5 great supremacies, he was sure that Elysian's son and Duguigian couldn't suppress the power of the Dark Shadow Demon Lord. He was secretly glad that he had pretended to be in a sorry state. Master, I'm useless. I couldn't kill the Dark Shadow Demon Lord. Lin Fei said in shame. The 5 great supremacies didn't know whether to laugh or cry. How powerful was the Dark Shadow Demon Lord? How could he be killed so easily? Since Lin Fei could come out unscathed, Lin Fei's status in the eyes of the 5 great supremacies had improved greatly. He was going to be one of the most outstanding people in the Shadow Palace in the future. Great Supremacy! Han Tian laughed loudly. Duguigian left after seeing that Lin Fei was fine. Su Hong and the others were the same. If it weren't for them, who knew if they could survive the Dark Shadow Demon Lord's attack? It was truly terrifying. Seeing that Lin Fei's injuries were not light, the 5 great sovereigns told him to go back and rest first. They would discuss this matter in a few days. Lin Fei returned to his cave residence. I seem to have become a hot commodity, hee. Lin Fei laughed at himself. He was not in a hurry to recover from his injuries. Life crystals, dark shadow grass, and other things are still in great demand for them. By the way, Master, why didn't you kill the Dark Shadow Devil Lord? Maybe there's something good there. Little Fiend asked curiously. Anything that was useful to the system should just be killed. Why should he keep it? What a waste. The corners of Lin Fei's mouth curled up. Do you think Dark Shadow Devil Lord's words are credible? Half-half. It's a mixture of truth and falsehood. I'll take this kind of scheming fellow seriously. You'll be out of luck. Little Fiend was smart. Lin Fei nodded. The reason why I didn't kill the Dark Shadow Devil Lord is because I felt a dangerous aura in his body. That should be the Dark Shadow Race's trump card. Even if I can withstand it, I'll probably be in big trouble. So, I used plunder to force him to reveal some secrets. This was also Lin Fei's cautiousness. Ao Tian Tian was at the peak of the 8th level. Although he seemed strong, he had to be careful against the Dark Shadow Devil Lord. He wanted to use information to fool him. He had no interest in the descendants of the Dark Shadow race. As long as they did not hinder his cultivation, he didn't care what they did. He was not a hot-blooded youth. That big secret was nothing to him. Lin Fei spent a month in his cave residence to recover from his injuries. The 5 great sovereigns did not disturb him. Ever since Elysian's son, Duguigian, and the others brought out the life crystals, they all became hot steamed buns in the eyes of the great sovereigns. As the last to leave, Lin Fei also brought many treasures with him. Most importantly, Lin Fei's experiences on the way to the third level of the Shadow Throne, especially the changes in the second level of the Shadow Labyrinth, were the most important. With these experiences and information, the chances of everyone passing through the Shadow Labyrinth would be higher the next time. This was something that ordinary people could not compare to. When Lin Fei came out of his cave residence, he received invitations from the 4 great sovereigns. Each of them was quite polite, but he was not in a hurry to reply. Instead, he went to his master's residence. "Junior brother, you're amazing. You actually fought with the Dark Shadow Devil Lord. What does the Dark Shadow Devil Lord look like? Back then, we searched blindly in the Shadow Labyrinth and came out by accident. I knew it. Junior brother must have gained something from going to the Shadow Throne." Lin Fei took out 4,000 life crystals and gave 1,000 each to the 4 senior brothers. It's just a small token of respect. The life energy contained in these life crystals was not much. In Lin Fei's eyes, it was not worth mentioning. In the Shadow Palace, it was a rare treasure, so it was most suitable as a gift. Ha ha ha. Thank you, junior brother. What a tycoon! 1,000 life crystals was definitely not a small fortune. The 4 senior brothers accepted it without hesitation. They knew that their junior brother had probably become a tycoon after going to the Shadow Throne. "Master, I'm here." In the pavilion by the lake, Lin Fei met Great Sovereign Hantian. "Sit." Grand Monarch Heaven Shaker took a glance at Lin Fei and found that his injuries had healed, and his aura had become stronger. He couldn't help but nod and say, "Not bad. Your sacred cloud dragon rampantly has improved a lot. You'll soon reach the peak of your cultivation base. Master, you have good eyesight. You can tell at a glance." Lin Fei sat in front of Great Sovereign Hantian. "You're very good. This time, everyone who went to the Shadow Throne praised you. Even the few great sovereigns have a whole new level of respect for you." When Great Sovereign Hantian learned that Lin Fei had broken into the 3rd floor of the Shadow Throne, he was also shocked for a long time before he recovered. "Awesome. I can't believe I have such a powerful disciple." This was Great Sovereign Hantian's only thought. He knew that when his disciple went in, he did not have any information on him. It was really rare for him to be able to convince the Elysian Sun and Duguijian. Grand Monarch Shaker Heaven asked about the Shadow Throne, which he was very interested in. Lin Fei gave him a brief explanation, leaving out some of the important parts. "Master, these are the things I've collected. Please help me deal with them. I don't know much about their prices." Lin Fei took out a storage ring. "And these are my gifts to you, Master. You're really a tycoon. You gave me 10,000 life crystals in one go." Great Sovereign Hantian laughed. "Tell me, what else do you want?" Chapter 2943. Lin Fei didn't intend to deal with the things he had obtained from the Shadow Throne himself. It would be best to let his master handle them, and their value would be infinitely greater. That wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was to sell the 10-fold strength incantation. Lin Fei planned to make a deal with Master Hantian. The things he had obtained from killing the Dark Shadow Demonic General in the Shadow Throne were no secret. Even if he didn't say it, someone else would. As for the 10-fold strength incantation, Lin Fei didn't attach much importance to it. His own proud heaven was a top body-strengthening cultivation method. Moreover, it wasn't easy to cultivate the 10-fold strength incantation. It had high requirements and couldn't be cultivated by ordinary body-tempering practitioners. Lin Fei thought of his master. It would be better to let his master cultivate it than to let others learn it. The stronger his master was, the easier it would be for him to live in the Dark Shadow Palace in the future. With a grand supremacy, there wouldn't be any trouble. "Master, I obtained a supplementary strength incantation after killing the Dark Shadow Demonic General in the Shadow Labyrinth. It's called the 10-fold strength incantation. After thinking about it, I don't think anyone can cultivate it except you. Therefore, I want to make a deal with you. Lin Fei took out the copy of the tenfold strength incantation. Grand Monarch Hantian laughed happily. I've heard of this secret incantation of yours. The first level can increase one's strength fivefold and last for an hour. It's indeed amazing. I didn't expect you to take it out and make a deal with me. It's good stuff. It's better for Master to learn it than others. Lin Fei said, There haven't been any experts in body tempering practitioners. If Master cultivates it, you'll definitely raise the banner of body tempering practitioners again, and your name will be passed down through the ages. Boy, you really know how to talk. Grand Monarch Hantian did have this idea. Unfortunately, at his current realm, his strength improved very slowly. Now that there was an opportunity, he was naturally tempted. What do you want? I want a batch of Origin Energy Divine Sand, at least 100 kilograms. Lin Fei casually said, Not long ago, I obtained a technique that can refine a semi-finished Yuanli weapon, so I want to give it a try. Grand Monarch Heavenshaker suspected that he had misheard Nia Tian. Didn't he know that his disciple was going to study forging divine weapons of origin power? Didn't he know that it was a bottomless hole? Many formidable martial artists in the Saint Spirit domain wanted to forge an essence, force, divine weapon. But had anyone succeeded? No, not a single one. All right, but 100 kilograms is impossible. Every grain of origin energy divine sand is extremely precious. I will do my best to help you. Grand Monarch Heavenshaker wanted to persuade him, but in the end he gave up. However, if you don't mind, you can sell one to the Dark Shadow Palace. I believe they will be very happy to do so. Lin Fei shook his head. This disciple doesn't mind. This kind of auxiliary technique has very high requirements. It's already quite monstrous to cultivate the first 3 stages. In that case, I'll have to trouble you, Master. Grand Monarch Heavenshaker nodded slightly. You've recovered from your injuries. Your performance in the Dark Shadow Throne was outstanding, comparable to that of Dugu Ijian and the Elysian Son of Heaven. Therefore, this time, you will represent the younger generation of the Dark Shadow Palace to join the battle against the experts of the Demon Nation and weaken their strength. All right, Lin Fei didn't refuse. You will have 100 years to prepare. After Lin Fei left his master's cave residence, he spent the next few days visiting the 4 Grand Monarchs. As his strength improved in the eyes of the Grand Monarchs, Lin Fei's potential was limitless. What was important was that he was a body-tempering cultivator. It was only a matter of time before he became a Grand Monarch. It wouldn't be embarrassing to befriend Lin Fei now. At that time, Grand Monarch Heavenshaker and Grand Monarch Lin Fei would form a terrifying force. None of them dared to take them lightly. After dealing with the 4 Grand Monarchs, Lin Fei returned to his cave residence to cultivate. Dugu Ijian took the initiative to visit him. You don't mind if I come to spar with you, do you? Dugu Ijian directly stated his purpose of visit. No problem, I'm also bored out of my mind. Lin Fei chuckled. That's good. Ever since their first spar, Dugu Ijian had come to spar with Lin Fei from time to time. During the trip to the Dark Shadow Throne, Dugu Ijian's strength had improved rapidly. Every time he came to spar, the 2 of them were evenly matched. Some of Lin Fei's hammer techniques had also become more perfect. In the first year, Grand Monarch Heavenshaker had sent him the first batch of Origin Power Divine Sand, which weighed 25 kilograms. He had collected this from all over the Saint Spirit world, and he had spent 2/3 of his wealth. An auxiliary technique was completely worth it. It could increase one's strength by 5 times, and it would be equivalent to a peak Grand Monarch's battle prowess, or even above. These 25 caddies are for me, Grand Monarch Heavenshaker said. The Dark Shadow Palace will soon have about 50 caddies of Origin Energy Divine Sand. After all, This method can make a Grand Monarch instantly. Grand Monarch Heavenshaker said, "The 25 kilograms of Origin Power Divine Sand, together with the Dark Shadow Palace's 50 kilograms, made it almost 150 kilograms. The requirement for Proud Heaven to upgrade was getting lower and lower. However, the Dark Shadow Palace's higher-ups want you not to sell the auxiliary technique outside. They will add another 10 kilograms of Origin Power Divine Sand." Grand Monarch Heavenshaker said. Lin Fei thought for a moment. All right, if such an auxiliary technique were to spread outside, it would definitely cause countless body-tempering powerhouses to go crazy. After all, the Saint Spirit world was so vast, and the Dark Shadow Palace wasn't the only place with body-tempering supremacies. After Grand Monarch Heavenshaker left, Lin Fei was very happy. 150 kilograms. No, it should be 170 kilograms of Origin Power Divine Sand. As expected, only Master and the others have the connections. This amount was completely beyond his expectations. The Saint Spirit world still had a lot of Origin Power Divine Sand. 150 kilograms of Origin Power Divine Sand can unlock part of my physical body's upper limit. Even though it was only 25 kilograms, Lin Fei was still very happy. He activated the array formation, took out the Origin Power Divine Sand, and began to absorb it. As he absorbed more and more, his physical body's upper limit was also released. After refining another 25 kilograms of Origin Power Divine Sand, the second batch of Origin Power Divine Sand was also in his hands. It was a full 120 kilograms, and Lin Fei agreed to some restrictions. The remaining 120 kilograms took a long time to refine. Proud Heaven's physical body had clearly brought about a huge improvement. Lin Fei could clearly feel that Proud Heaven Tier 8 and Proud Heaven Tier 9 seemed to be a huge improvement. He believed that once he improved, his strength would explode. The most obvious change was that Lin Fei could see, through his divine sense, that the depths of his physical body was made up of particles. They were unbelievably sturdy, and they formed a powerful barrier. It was very different from before. Chapter 2944. With 170 kilograms of godly energy sand, Lin Fei could see the particles deep in his flesh. Each particle was extremely powerful, but there was still a large portion that did not become powerful. I still need 130 kilograms of godly energy sand. He needed 150 kilograms of godly energy sand to go from world-defying Sky Tier 8 to world-defying Sky Tier 9. Even though it was only a threefold increase from 100 kilograms to 150 kilograms, it did not seem like much. If Lin Fei did not agree to the Dark Shadow Palace's terms and sold the 10-fold strength technique, he might be able to get more godly energy sand. If that was the case, Lin Fei believed that the higher-ups would not be happy. Although the 5 great supremacies did not seem to care about anything, he knew that there were still a few decision-makers above the 5 great supremacies. They rarely showed themselves, and together with the 5 great supremacies, they formed the upper echelons of the Dark Shadow Palace. A secret technique that could raise a supremacy's battle power to that of a supremacy, even if it was only for an hour, was a terrifying threat to the enemy. Lin Fei was not the only one who knew about this secret technique. This was also the reason why Lin Fei was afraid. He urgently wanted Ao Tian to break through to world-defying Sky Tier 9 and use the crystals of life he had accumulated to rush to the peak of world-defying Sky Tier 9. At that time, the upper echelons would not matter. Luckily, there are still 80 to 90 years to go to the demon motherland. I still have hope of gathering the remaining 50 kilograms of godly energy sand. After his physique improved again, Lin Fei's speed was extremely fast. When no one was paying attention, he left the Dark Shadow Palace and went to the Sky River Nation. His identity changed too. Ao Tian Lord. The Sky River Nation had 100,000 years. Maybe he could get some godly energy sand. A kilogram would be good, After all, it was godly energy sand. If there was none, Lin Fei had to think of other ways. Even though he had the location of the Sky Feather Nation, he would not go there unless it was absolutely necessary. The place that could refine the pardonable scepter was definitely not ordinary. Lin Fei didn't dare to go over rashly. The Sky Feather Nation hadn't released any information yet, but he knew that their strength wasn't ordinary. He even suspected that there might be an expert that surpassed the peak of the Great Supremacy, regardless of whether it was the merciless scepter or the illusory Black Tower. Lin Fei had a deep understanding of their might. With the merciless scepter, he could ignore all attacks, and the illusory Black Tower was even more terrifying. It could directly trap a person within, and without them realizing it. Tianhe Kingdom, that heavenly river, still existed, giving off an ancient aura. This time, Lin Fei quietly entered the Li family. Ancestor Li Mo's aura was much stronger than it was 100,000 years ago, and he could be considered to have the strength of a peak High Lord, but it was still a long way off for him to enter the great High Lord realm. Masterly, long time no see. Lin Fei's sudden appearance had given Li Mo quite a fright. When he heard that it was Ao Tian Lord, he heaved a sigh of relief. He was even more fearful of Lin Fei, especially the aura that was released from his body. It was extremely terrifying, causing his hair to stand on end. Oh, it's Brother Ao. Ancestor Li Mo did not dare to put on airs, as Ao Tian had set off a reign of terror in the Saint Spirit world. Until now, when those forces heard Ao Tian's name, they were terrified. The number of High Lords that had died in his hands was not as simple as one or two. I was wondering who could come in quietly. No one in the Tianhe Kingdom could do it. Brother Ao's strength is getting stronger and stronger. Good luck, I've gained something. Lin Fei smiled and said, How is the Tianhe Kingdom now? Everything is fine, but the Zhao family has been hit hard, especially when Brother Ao Tian was killing everywhere. We took the opportunity to swallow up a lot of the Zhao family's territory. Now they are struggling at death's door, and many forces have their eyes on the Zhao family. I guess the Zhao family will soon be eliminated. Li Mo first explained the situation, and when he thought of the Zhao family situation, he could not help but sigh. Lin Fei was not interested in the Zhao family anymore. By the way, this time I came to buy something from you. God Origin Sand. I don't know if you still have it. Lin Fei chatted for a while, then went straight to the point. Ancestor Li Mo's expression changed slightly, and he smiled bitterly. Brother Ao, if you came earlier, our Li family would really have God Origin Sand, but not long ago a mysterious person came and bought all the God Origin Sand in our hands. I'm sorry, it's not easy to collect. Lin Fei showed a trace of disappointment. Someone actually got it first. Who has such a big appetite to buy the God Origin Sand produced by the Tianhe Kingdom? Can you tell me who it is? Lin Fei was very surprised, but he also wanted to know what force suppressed the forces of the Tianhe Kingdom and swept everything away. Ancestor Li Mo sighed. Although our Tianhe Kingdom is not a big country, and we also have treasures that can threaten supremacies, the person who came this time is a bit big. He was accompanied by people from the Temporal Temple. You also know that the people from the Temporal Temple are very overbearing, and we have no choice but to agree. The person accompanying him is a peak supremacy, and he also brought a space-time team with him. Lin Fei really didn't think that it would be people from the Temporal Temple. This was really a big mountain. In front of a behemoth like the Temporal Temple, the Tianhe Kingdom was really vulnerable, especially when the Temporal Temple had a genius supremacy named Kongwen. In the past 100,000 years, Supremacy Kong, when space-time Tao had become more proficient, and he was ahead of all the geniuses in the Saint Spirit domain. It was rumored that he had the battle power of a great supremacy, and he was the number one. It was unknown how many forces had been beheaded by Supremacy Kongwen. The number of supremacies killed by him was even more uncountable, and he became famous. The Temporal Temple, our Tianhe Kingdom, can't afford to offend them. Ancestor Li Mo was full of fear. Their small kingdom really couldn't afford to offend such a behemoth. Lin Fei was quite curious. It was certain that the essence force god sand was precious, but in the Saint Spirit domain, according to the Shadow Devil Lord, there weren't many people who could refine complete essence force god weapons. Then, why would the Temporal Temple want to find them? After confirming again and again, Lin Fei's trip to the Tianhe Kingdom was in vain. The essence force god sand was all collected, which was equivalent to a wasted trip. Brother Ao, although our Tianhe Kingdom doesn't have the essence force god sand anymore, there is still a place that should have it. You can try your luck there. Mo clenched his teeth and said, "However, I reckon that the people from the Temporal Temple will also go to that place. You have to be mentally prepared. I can see that they are determined to get it." "What place?" Lin Fei was quite curious. Could it be the Sky Feather Kingdom? If it was, then it would be meaningless. He didn't forget the words of the Shadow Devil Lord. Those people were not easy to deal with, and they were a group of lunatics. Chapter 2945. Azura Kingdom, 10,000 Treasure Meeting. This was the first time Lin Fei had heard of such a place in the Saint Spirit world. Patriarchally, what sort of place is this Azura Kingdom? How come I've never heard of it before? The Saint Spirit world was a place with many countries. Lin Fei had heard of all of them before, but this Azura Kingdom was something he had never heard of before. It was an extremely unfamiliar place. Mo had an indifferent expression on his face. He smiled and explained, "When I first heard of the Azura Kingdom, I was the same as you. Most people don't know of this place. The Azura Kingdom is in the Saint Spirit world, but that is only a general statement. Its true location is within the Black Domain." Lin Fei's eyes brightened. Black Domain? If it was the Black Domain, then it was normal not to know. In the Saint Spirit world, the most special place was the Black Domain. There were many countries within, each forming their own world. But they didn't have any thoughts towards the Saint Spirit world. They usually minded their own business. That's right, it's the Black Domain. The Azura Kingdom is located on the periphery of the Black Domain. Every 10,000 years, they will hold a grand auction to auction off some of the treasures within the Black Domain. Brother Ao, if you want to find the God Essence Sand, then the Azura Kingdom is your only chance. Mo said, "The people from the Temporal Temple are also going to participate in the auction. Perhaps they're going there for the God Essence Sand." Lin Fei really didn't know about this. He thought to himself, "I have to understand more about the Black Domain in the future. If I don't know anything, then I'll really be blind." The Azura Kingdom's auction. Calculating the time, there should still be 20 years left. You can still make it in time. After Lin Fei expressed his thanks, he quietly left the Sky River Kingdom. Azura Kingdom. I have to personally make a trip there. Lin Fei regretted not coming to the Sky River Kingdom earlier. He had missed out on a great opportunity. Otherwise things wouldn't have been so troublesome. Since the Temporal Temple can go to the Black Domain, they must have some reliable information. Perhaps they really have the God Elemental Sand. Lin Fei flipped through some information that Mo had given him before he left. "If I hadn't improved my strength, I wouldn't have dared to snatch food from the tiger's mouth. But things are different now. Proud Heaven, who has reached the peak of the 8th level, is strong enough that ordinary Grand Sovereigns won't be able to break my defense. This time, I'm going to get the Origin Force Sand." Lin Fei had the confidence to fight for it. There was an entrance to the Black Domain. Although it was called the entrance, it was actually the weakest place. Those below the supremacy level didn't have protective treasures, so they didn't dare to enter. Even supremacies didn't dare to enter alone. Danger lurked everywhere inside, and it was extremely terrifying. Lin Fei charged into the Black Domain. Boom, boom, boom. As soon as he entered, Lin Fei was immediately crushed by the Black Domain. It was a special kind of energy that pierced through his physical body attacking the physical particles in the depths of his body. One by one, his physical particles were crushed. Lin Fei didn't activate his proud heaven's protection. Instead, he quietly felt the physical particles in his body crumble. It's indeed terrifying. This energy is very domineering. No wonder ordinary people don't dare to come to the black domain. Even if they came, they wouldn't be able to withstand it. With a single thought, Lin Fei's physical body trembled. He destroyed the energy in his body and activated his proud heaven's protection. A ring-shaped jingguang appeared around his body and destroyed all the invading energy. The black domain was very quiet. It wasn't much different from the mountains and rivers outside. The only difference was that the black domain would release special energy attacks on anyone. Apart from that, the structures of the continents in the black domain were very sturdy. Lin Fei tried to attack. In the Saint Spirit domain, he could easily destroy a mountain. However, in the black domain, he couldn't do so easily. They were very sturdy. After that, Lin Fei examined them and confirmed that the structures of the things in the black domain were different. They were all very sturdy, and their movement speed would be suppressed. Spatial movement? That's impossible. Anyone could only fly slowly. That's right, fly. Lin Fei's physical body was very strong, but his movement speed was also limited. He couldn't pass through the layers of energy. The layers of energy were terrifyingly hard, and he could only fly slowly. Fortunately, even with such a restriction, Lin Fei's speed far surpassed that of ordinary High Lords. Lin Fei was very helpless. He regretted not finding a treasure that could allow him to fly in the black domain. Using such a stupid method, Lin Fei used 15 years to arrive at the Azura Kingdom. Fortunately, the Azura Kingdom was easy to find. Otherwise, he would have been exhausted. What a large Azura Kingdom! The Azura Kingdom occupied a large area, especially the royal city. It was domineering and glorious. Black palaces of different heights emitted a sharp aura. Before entering the Azura Kingdom, Lin Fei could feel several tyrannical auras that were faintly discernible. Indeed, there are as many powerhouses as there are clouds. I can feel 7 or 8 auras, and there are even 3 or 5 auras that are faintly discernible. It really isn't simple. After paying the entrance fee, Lin Fei entered the royal city. The martial artists of the Azura Kingdom were all dressed in black, and their auras were much thicker. Lin Fei first found an inn to stay in. "Sir, I can tell that you're from the outside world with one look. Here is a secret history of the royal city. It's definitely what you need. It only costs 100,000 Saint Spirit crystals." After arranging his accommodation, a waiter immediately came up to sell his wares. 100,000 Saint Spirit crystals was not cheap at all. Lin Fei was worried that he didn't know much about the royal city, so he casually bought one. 100,000 Saint Spirit crystals was really nothing. The waiter beamed. He didn't expect to meet a local tycoon, so he came up to him again. "Sir, you must be here to participate in the Myriad Treasure Conference. You've come to the right place. This time's Myriad Treasure Conference will have some good stuff. I have a Myriad Treasure Conference procedure that will definitely suit you. It's very cheap, 200,000 Saint Spirit crystals." Lin Fei didn't look at it. He smiled and said, "Are you sure this thing is useful to me?" The waiter smiled. "Of course it's useful. Not everyone can enter the Myriad Treasure Conference. Those who are qualified will naturally not have a problem. Sir, I can tell that this is your first time here. That's all the more reason for you to buy a copy." Lin Fei didn't know much about this auction. He only knew that it was the Myriad Treasure Conference, but he didn't know the exact procedure. 200,000 it is then. Give me a copy. After spending 300,000 Saint Spirit crystals, Lin Fei realized that he didn't spend it in vain. For example, the secret history of the royal city recorded the distribution of forces in the Azura Kingdom. The royal family controlled the royal city, and they had the highest status. Behind them were other forces that submitted to the royal family. Among them, there were a few forces that one couldn't afford to offend. They were all great forces that came from the descendants of meritorious officials. Lin Fei only smiled at this. The one that caught his attention the most was the procedure of the Myriad Treasure Conference. Luckily, I came early. If I came late, I really wouldn't have the chance to participate in the Myriad Treasure Conference. Lin Fei flipped through the procedure. So, not everyone is qualified to participate in the Myriad Treasure Conference. First-time visitors need to obtain a qualified identity. Chapter 2946. Lin Fei used the remaining time to understand the Myriad Treasure Assembly's general situation. This process only took a month. Lin Fei had a rough understanding of the Myriad Treasure Convention. The convention was organized by the royal family, and it was rumored that the royal family had a special method to enter the depths of some uninhabited continents to search for treasures. In fact, they might even be able to obtain some great treasures. The Myriad Treasure Assembly that was held once in one's later years was extremely competitive. Whether it was a reclusive family or the ruler of a country, all of them would come here. For outsiders who participated for the first time, they had to obtain the royal family's recognition. Their recognition came from two aspects. One was strength, and the other was treasures. As long as they met both criteria, they would be qualified to enter the Myriad Treasure Assembly. I need to get a qualification first. Myriad Treasure Pagoda, the most unique place in the Azura Kingdom. Here, as long as you had money, you could buy anything. It wasn't impossible to come across those legendary treasures. It just depended on whether you had the strength to do so. Thus, the Azura Kingdom's cultivators loved to go out and train, searching for treasures to exchange for the good stuff inside the Myriad Treasure Pagoda. Lin Fei arrived in front of the Myriad Treasure Pagoda in a black robe. His magnificent aura was like that of a giant. At the entrance of the Myriad Treasure Pagoda, the guards were all Peak 7th Order Heavenly God Realm cultivators, clad in a black armor that exuded an extraordinary aura. It was actually a High Lord armor. There were more than 20 guards, all of them wearing supremacy armor. They were quite extraordinary. Walking into the Myriad Treasure Pagoda, Lin Fei felt as if he had arrived at a different place, as if he had entered an independent space, many times more perfect than the usual independent space. I'm here to obtain the Myriad Treasure Pagoda's qualification, Lin Fei said the moment he arrived. The Myriad Treasure Pagoda's cultivators were used to it. This way, please. Failed again. That thing is too domineering. Inside an independent space, inside the Myriad Treasure Pagoda. When Lin Fei arrived, there were many people gathered here. At a glance, almost all of them were High Lords, more than a dozen of them. This is your number plate. When it's your turn, you can go up. The man handed a number plate to Lin Fei and left. Lin Fei noticed that there was a special creature on the stage in front of him. It was humanoid, and its body was half bent. Its eyes were filled with an evil aura. Next, number 9. A muscular man with a naked upper body and a huge black mace charged into the arena. Those who could come here were basically foreign supremacies. All of them were here for the qualifications. The first challenge was to defeat the Azura Hunter. This should be the Azura Hunter. It specializes in speed and its power is average, but it can threaten peak supremacies. Lin Fei calmly looked at it. Relevant information also appeared. This was an Azura Hunter, a very special existence within the Azura Kingdom. The Shura Hunters are making their move. After the brawny man got on the stage, he swung his mace from top to bottom, intending to kill the Azura Hunter with brute force. Bang! After 2 sounds, the brawny man was sent flying, crashing into the arena's shield. 2 wounds were left on his chest, and blood flowed out. The Azura Hunter's movements were extremely fast, and it was like an afterimage. The brawny man was tortured until he had no choice but to give up. How difficult! This speed is too hard to deal with. The speed is indeed fast, and the attack is also fierce. It can really make a High Lord helpless. Lin Fei nodded inwardly. The dozen high lords quickly went up the stage. So far, only one had killed the Azura hunter, but he was also in a sorry state. Next, number 17. It was Lin Fei's turn. Lin Fei walked up the stage unhurriedly and nodded to the people outside, indicating that they could begin. Hoo-hoo! A strong stench assaulted Lin Fei's nostrils. The Azura hunter moved, turning into a black dot and disappearing from sight. Two sharp rays of light appeared in front of Lin Fei. Lin Fei stretched out his hand and grabbed the Azura hunter's neck. A surge of energy surged out and struck the Azura hunter's body, killing it on the spot. Who is this fellow? He's too fast. He killed the Azura hunter with a single strike. Where did this expert come from? The people who hadn't left earlier were shocked when they saw the scene. This was the first time they had seen such efficiency. Everyone knew how terrifying the Azura hunter was. If you met one in the Shura kingdom, you would definitely be in trouble. No one could escape from their pursuit. In Lin Fei's eyes, the Azura hunter's speed was starting to slow down, and its physical defense was also average. Lin Fei directly used his energy to penetrate into the depths of the Azura hunter's body, shattering the particles domineeringly. The person in charge of registration became very enthusiastic at this moment. Clearly, he was very surprised by the other party's strength. To be able to kill the Azura hunter so easily, that person was definitely a peak supremacy powerhouse. This black-robed man's talent was definitely not bad. To be able to kill the Azura hunter so easily, it was not common. He immediately went up to greet Lin Fei. Congratulations, brother. You have passed the first round. You can go to the next place. Someone came up and said enthusiastically, handing another number plate to Lin Fei. The number plate was proof of clearing the round. The next round was to verify the treasure. The quality of the treasure would determine whether one was qualified to enter the Myriad Treasure meeting. This was also a test of one's ability. The Myriad Treasure Tower naturally had its reasons for setting up such a rule. After Lin Fei easily killed the Azura hunter, the relevant recording was sent to the Myriad Treasure Tower's Deputy Tower Lord. Deputy Tower Lord Tang, this person's performance today is the most outstanding. He should have great potential and is worthy of being roped in by our Shura kingdom. In a small independent space on the top floor, a sharp voice sounded. The recording began to replay the battle on the stage. It was the recording of how Lin Fei easily killed the Azura hunter. Deputy Tower Lord Tang was a middle-aged man dressed in luxurious robes. His body exuded a noble aura, and his eyes were fixed on the recording. A body-tempering supremacy. His speed is very fast, and his strength is stronger than an ordinary supremacy's. He's very domineering and ferocious, but he's passable. He seemed a little disappointed. However, it's worth roping him in. He should be a supremacy from the Saint Spirit world. I'll immediately arrange for someone to investigate. There are only a few body-tempering supremacies in the Saint Spirit world. It'll be easy to find out who they are. Lin Fei came to a small room. In the room, a white-haired old man was sitting. He looked solemn and shrewd. Take out your treasure. As long as this old man approves of it, you can obtain the qualifications to participate in the Myriad Treasure meeting. The white-haired old man said in a businesslike manner. What if I want the top-grade qualifications? Chapter 2947. 10,000 treasure towers qualifications were divided into several grades. When he came, Lin Fei decided that he must get a top-level qualification. In 10,000 treasure tower, with this top-level qualification, he could avoid a lot of trouble. As for outside, Lin Fei had nothing to worry about. With his current strength, whoever came up to be unlucky, he did not mind killing. The white-haired old man glanced at the man in black and said formally, if the item meets the requirements, then you can get a top-level qualification. Honest to all. As an appraiser, the white-haired old man could encounter this kind of thing almost every day. a guy who was biting off more than he could chew. See if he had that qualification. This is what I prepared. What Lin Fei took out was none other than the life crystal stone. He did not have many things now, only the life crystal stone. As for the other things, they were really not worth much. Behind 10,000 Treasure Tower was the royal family. In the Black Domain, they had great influence, were more fair, and would keep secrets. 10,000 Treasure Tower could always stand tall, and this had a great impact on how they did things. Everyone was happy to come here. Lin Fei studied 10,000 Treasure Tower before he dared to take out the life crystal stone. The life crystal stone is not small in size. The white-haired old man's eyes lit up. It's a good thing. The life crystal stone was not a circulating currency, but it had always been deeply loved by everyone. It could be used to heal at critical moments. Unfortunately, the life crystal stone was not easy to find now. Except for some special places, it was almost difficult to find the life crystal stone. The life crystal stone that Lin Fei took out was not small in size and looked quite heavy. It contained thick life energy inside. The white-haired old man grabbed one of the life crystal stone and examined it carefully. He was very serious. The whole process lasted for a long time. Life crystal stone, top grade, without a trace of impurities. It can be listed as a first-class treasure of 10,000 Treasure Tower. The white-haired old man put down the life crystal stone. You can get a top-level qualification. These were all extracted by Lin Fei himself. The quality was naturally superior. It was not the life crystal stone dropped by the Shadow Demon General. There was a certain gap. The white-haired old man took out a dark golden card and handed it to Lin Fei. As long as you drip your blood on it and refine it, you will be a top member of 10,000 Treasure Tower. Lin Fei did not hesitate and chose to refine it. A lifelike portrait appeared on the dark golden card. At the same time, there was a corresponding aura. No one could imitate it. This is our 10,000 Treasure Towers, 10,000 treasure card. With this card, you can spend anything in 10,000 Treasure Tower, and you can also enjoy the benefits of a 20% discount. Lin Fei put away the million treasure card and turned to leave the room. To be able to take out such a top-notch life crystal stone, I must report this to the Tower Master. The white-haired old man muttered to himself. I've finally gotten the spot. Lin Fei left the 10,000 Treasure Tower and returned to the inn room, playing with the 10,000 treasure card in his hand. It was quite an extraordinary treasure. This craftsmanship is difficult for others to forge. Just the material of the 10,000 treasure card can block 99% of people. He still had this little bit of eyesight. Now, all that's left is to wait for the 10,000 Treasure Towers myriad treasure meet to begin. As for whether the life crystal stone would bring trouble, Lin Fei was not very worried. If the 10,000 Treasure Tower took a fancy to it, they could talk nicely and everything could be discussed. If they used violence, it was not certain who would take care of who. In the blink of an eye, it was time for the myriad treasure meet to begin. Ever since Lin Fei obtained the top-notch qualification, he basically stayed in the inn. As the myriad treasure meet was about to begin, the number of people in the monarch city began to increase. The inns began to be full, and all of them came to participate in the myriad treasure meet. Lin Fei observed for a while and found that those who came to participate in the myriad treasure meet were basically powerhouses in the Black Domain. The Saint Spirit World's supremacies outside could be counted on one hand. On the day of the myriad treasure meet's opening, Lin Fei woke up early and came to the 10,000 Treasure Tower. Compared to the past, the atmosphere of the 10,000 Treasure Tower today was different. Those should be special worships that can fly in the Black Domain. Outside the monarch city, there were tall and majestic black warships, giving people a heavy aura. Lin Fei casually glanced at them before entering the 10,000 Treasure Tower. Honored guest, your seat is over here. Please follow me. a beautiful 7th Order Heavenly God Realm young lady, took the initiative to lead the way after looking at the 10,000 treasure card, arriving at a private room of the 10,000 treasure tower. The private rooms area was not small, and the decorations were luxurious. Not long after Lin Fei sat down, a beautiful young lady walked in, standing respectfully in front of him. "Hello, I am the person in charge of this private room, specially at your service. If you have any needs, please feel free to ask." "Your service is quite attentive." Lin Fei laughed. The young lady was well-mannered with a smile on her face. As one of the top 10 trading houses in the Black Domain, the 10,000 Treasure Tower pursues meticulous service. The auction has not started yet, so you can taste our Azura Country special tea, and then look through the items that will be auctioned today. Okay. Lin Fei nodded with a smile. Soon, Huang Xiaolong tasted the Azura Country's special tea. It was quite domineering and had a unique taste. "This is the list of items that will be auctioned today. If there's anything you don't understand, you can call me." The young lady passed a soft book to Huang Xiaolong with both hands, standing to the side. Lin Fei flipped through the book. When the book was flipped open, a vivid and lifelike drawing appeared. Good heavens, the top qualification is really worth the money. Let me see what kind of good things are here. Lin Fei did not have much interest in weapons, pills, and the like. A semi-finished divine weapon actually costs more than 10 billion Saint Spirit crystals. This is really shady. How many people can buy something like this? Looking at the semi-finished divine weapon, Lin Fei couldn't help ridiculing the price. It was many times higher than he had imagined. Looking at the introduction, semi-finished divine weapons were not easy to come by. A semi-finished divine weapon is worth 10 billion Saint Spirit crystals. Then if I take out the merciless scepter, wouldn't everyone's eyes be blinded? The merciless scepter that he had obtained from the dark shadow demon lord had been thoroughly deciphered by the little fiend. Now it truly belonged to Lin Fei, and he did not plan to sell it. This was a good thing, and he would keep it for future use. Huang Xiaolong continued to look. Special pills, treasures of the world, and so on were all available. Lin Fei's eyes widened. The Myriad Treasures Tower truly lived up to its reputation as one of the top 10 chambers of commerce in the Black Domain. If the items on this list were to be placed outside, who knew how big of a storm it would cause? The corpse of an elemental destruction creature, or the corpse of a soul beast for short. Lin Fei soon saw a huge corpse. The starting price was actually 50 billion Saint Spirit crystals, which gave Lin Fei a fright. This price was even more expensive than a semi-finished divine weapon. "What is this soul beast corpse?" Lin Fei asked. Chapter 2948. Lin Fei was taken aback by the young lady's words. From the Dark Shadow Devil General. He knew about the existence of the foreign lands and also knew that there was a special substance outside the foreign lands called Yuanmia. It enveloped the Saint Spirit world and formed a unique defense. Anyone who wanted to leave the Saint Spirit world and go to another foreign lands must be able to withstand the invasion of Yuanmia. It was a terrifying existence that made people feel fear. A special life form that was born from Yuanmia, absorbing its energy to grow, was simply unbelievable. Due to absorbing Yuanmia to grow, the Essence Beasts have become a unique existence. The Essence Beast's corpse can be used to create a terrifying puppet. Once refined, the puppet is equivalent to half a hierarch realm master. Almost impossible to kill. Other than that, the Essence Beasts have a unique Emperor's will that can be used to comprehend the Emperor's will. The strongest Essence Beast strength can rival a 10th Order Heavenly God Realm Master. Lin Fei finally understood. This soul beast life form was really different. A 10th Order Heavenly God Realm Master, even a peak Great Supremacy, was no match for the corpse of a puppet. Just the thought of it sent chills down one's spine. The price of 30 billion Saint Spirit crystals was too normal. "This is for you." Lin Fei threw 2 life crystals to the young lady. These were the life crystals that the Dark Shadow Devil General dropped. "Thank you." The young lady covered her mouth, suppressing her excitement. This was the first time she met such a generous person, actually using life crystals to reward her. Lin Fei quickly found what he wanted: 150 caddies of origin energy divine sand. It was more than rumored. The starting price is 8 billion Saint Spirit crystals. It's not that high, but I wonder how many people will bid. Lin Fei frowned slightly. He did not have many Saint Spirit crystals on him, but he had life crystals. He believed that the Myriad Treasure Tower would be happy to buy them. This was also where Lin Fei's confidence came from. There were a total of 100 private rooms prepared by the Myriad Treasure Tower, and they were quickly filled. Every private room was served by a dedicated person, and the private rooms were equipped with arrays that could isolate all divine senses from invading, ensuring safety. As for those who didn't get a top-class private room, they could only sit below. Even so, the private rooms were filled with people in circles. The entire Myriad Treasure Towers auction had several tens of thousands of people who came. The Myriad Treasure meeting that was held once every 10,000 years had officially begun. A middle-aged man ascended the stage. He was a peak supremacy powerhouse. "I'm glad that everyone is here to participate in the Myriad Treasure Meet. I'm Gao Bai, an old acquaintance of everyone. I'll be hosting the Myriad Treasure Meet again." This Gao Bai supremacy started to greet everyone as soon as he came up, and the atmosphere was livened up. "There's no time to lose. Let's start today's auction." High Supremacy Gao Bai waved his hand. "Now, please bring out the first auction item." The first things he took out were all small things, but the quality was quite good. Each item was sold for tens of millions of Saint Spirit crystals, nearing 100 million. Soon, the first good item was brought out. It was an Emperor's Will protective technique, which had a certain degree of immunity from injury. It had the power of a 9th-stage Saint Spirit secret technique and attracted a lot of competition. In the end, it was won by someone for 300 million Saint Spirit crystals. The good items were brought out one by one. In the private room, Lin Fei was very calm as he watched quietly. Now, the auction item is a weapon that came from a special place. It's a semi-finished source energy weapon. The Heavenly Halberd, it's a semi-finished source energy weapon, and its power goes without saying. This Heavenly Halberd has the sharpening ability, and the starting price is 15 billion Saint Spirit crystals. High Supremacy, Gauda introduced. A half-finished source energy divine weapon. That was truly precious. Right now, there were basically no more people who could refine elemental energy divine weapons. Having a semi-finished product was at least enough to increase one's strength by 1 or 2 times. The price of the item quickly shot up. In a short time, it reached 80 billion Saint Spirit crystals. We, the Sky Sea Dragon, bid 85 billion. An arrogant voice came from one of the private rooms. Whoever dares to continue bidding is not giving the Sky Sea Dragon any face. The Sky Sea Dragon's name seemed to be quite a threat, and a few private rooms quickly gave up. What's the background of the Sky Sea Dragon? Lin Fei asked curiously. The young woman said the Sky Sea Dragon has a terrible reputation in the Black Realm. He specializes in doing things that cost nothing, and he has a peak great sovereign lord backing him up. Therefore, no one dares to offend him. Lin Fei frowned slightly. A peak great supremacy shouldn't be afraid of him. A peak great supremacy's battle strength was at most on par with a dark shadow demon general. Not only does that great sovereign have a semi-finished origin energy divine weapon, but he's also an expert in escaping. Up until now, no one has been able to kill that great sovereign of the Sky Sea Dragon clan. Lin Fei could imagine how powerful such a great supremacy was. 85, 1 billion, the temporal temple wants it. At this time, a calm voice came from another private room. It was a voice that could not be refused. Within the black domain, the sky sea dragon was a huge threat. However, in front of the temporal temple, he paled in comparison. Every heavenly god expert from the temporal temple was easy to deal with, especially after Kongwen appeared. The sky sea dragon's private room that had previously been arrogant also fell silent. They dared to kill people, but not the temporal temple. After all, the temporal temple was best at tracking people. Even if they ran to the ends of the earth, they would not be able to escape the temporal temple's pursuit. In the end, the halberd fell into the hands of the temporal temple. Following that, several items were auctioned off one after another. There was not a single item that caught Lin Fei's interest. However, he had to admit that they were all good items. They were not commonly found in ordinary places. For example, there were all sorts of natural treasures that could protect one's life. Now, we're auctioning the Origin Force God Sand. It wasn't easy for our myriad treasure tower to obtain it. There's a total of 75 kilograms, and the starting price is 8 billion Saint Spirit crystals. When the 75 kilograms of Origin Force God Sand was taken out, it was extremely eye-catching. Finally, it's the Origin Force God Sand's turn. If not for the fact that the refining method of the Origin Force God weapons had been lost, this thing would not have become a useless item and be auctioned off behind the semi-finished Origin Force God weapons. 9 billion. 9, 1 billion. 12, 1 billion. The Origin Force God weapon was a useless item, but it still attracted the attention of several people in the private rooms. Lin Fei watched quietly and did not choose to make a move. Instead of bidding slowly, it was better to wait until the right time to bid an extremely high price. The bidding for the Origin Force God Sand was not as intense as the semi-finished Origin Force God weapons. After all, not many people knew how to refine them, and even if they got their hands on them, they would be useless. Thus, the price was pushed to 26 billion Saint Spirit crystals, and it began to slow down. The temporal temple bids 26, 5 billion. The private room of the temporal temple once again made a bid. In the private room, a pale-faced, middle-aged man exuded an ethereal aura as if he did not exist in the private room. He was the one who called out the bid of 26, 5 billion. Since the temporal temple has spoken, no one will fight with us. The 75 kilograms of Origin Force God Sand will definitely be ours. This sentence was directed at the man in the large cloak beside him. Chapter 2949. Another domineering voice rang out. The temporal temple's bid was outbid by someone else. The expressions of many people in the 100 top-class private rooms changed. The Devil Motherland was very famous in the Saint Spirit domain. It was also very famous in the Black domain. Basically, no one dared to find trouble with the Devil Motherland. That was because the Devil Motherland had a powerful ally to support him in the Black domain. He was also very strong. 27, 5 billion, 28 billion. The people of the Temporal Temple and the Devil Motherland began to compete. The price soared to 32, 3 billion in a short period of time, and it seemed like it wouldn't stop anytime soon. No one was willing to miss out on this opportunity. Ha ha ha! The Devil Motherland should give the Temporal Temple a good beating. The Temporal Temple isn't invincible in the Black region. The Devil Motherland is going to fight. I wonder who will win in the end. The Devil Motherland and the Temporal Temple had a deep grudge, and it was a well-known fact in the entire Saint Spirit world and the Black region. Now that both sides were competing, ordinary people wouldn't interfere. Neither side could be offended easily. In the private room where Lin Fei was, he frowned deeply when he saw the two sides fighting. Why are they fighting? This is great. It won't be easy to get the essence for sand. It's really a hot potato. This was something that Lin Fei didn't want to see. The Temporal Temple alone was a big problem. The Devil Motherland wasn't easy to deal with either. From the looks of it, they were very interested in the essence for sand. As the bidding continued, The price became higher and higher. Lin Fei was considering whether he should make a move or not. The essence force, sand, was too important to him. He was just one step away from the proud heaven realm. If he missed this opportunity, he didn't know when he would get it again. If it's troublesome, then so be it. Lin Fei had thought of fighting back. If both sides were very strong, especially in the black region, it would be very disadvantageous to him. He might as well buy it and break through in the Myriad Treasure Tower. Inside the Myriad Treasure Tower, even the experts of the Temporal Temple and the Devil Motherland wouldn't dare to make a move. 38 billion. Is there anyone who wants to go higher than this? The Temporal Temple called out another high price. The Devil Motherland's side was silent. It seemed to be considering whether to continue bidding. This price had completely exceeded the value of the essence for sand. 40 billion. Just when the Temporal Temple thought that it was in the bag, another voice rang out from another box, raising the price by 2 billion. The price of the god's yuan Li sand was now 40 billion Saint Spirit crystals. Who's in that private room? What a grand gesture. Could it be that they are also targeting the Temporal Temple? Just when everyone thought that Emo Guogua had given up, someone else started bidding again. The first bid was 40 billion Saint Spirit crystals. How extravagant. Ha ha ha. Isn't your Temporal Temple rich and overbearing? They bid 40 billion. If you have the ability, then continue. The people in Emo Guogua's private room laughed and said, "We won't fight anymore. We'll let you have it." Emo Zugua's words were quite provocative. 41 billion. The Temporal Temple continued to bid. Their hearts were filled with hatred for the person in this private box. He actually dared to compete with them for the god Yuanli sand. 45 billion. The person in the private room shouted again without any hesitation. Everyone was in an uproar. He had directly raised it by 4 billion. No matter how rich he was, there was no need for him to do this. 100 million Saint Spirit crystals was still money. That despicable fellow actually dared to compete with our Temporal Temple for the god Yuanli sand. The middle-aged man in the Temporal Temple's private room was gloomy. The god Yuanli sand was one of their goals, but it wasn't the most important one. A price of 40 billion was still acceptable. If it was more than 40 billion, it would affect the rest of the auction. Looking at the other party's appearance, he was rich and overbearing, adding 20, 40 in one go, and maybe even 6 billion next time. Where did this guy come from? Brother, as long as you hand over the god Yuanli sand, our Temporal Temple is willing to give you 10 billion Saint Spirit crystals for free. I hope you will give us some face. The person in the Temporal Temple's private room said, not competing for the god Yuanli sand, but 10 billion Saint Spirit crystals for free. This was truly a great bargain. I must obtain the god Yuanli sand. You want me to give up with a mere 10 billion? Do you think I have never seen Saint Spirit crystals before? Lin Fei snorted coldly. Not giving face was not giving face. The middle-aged man in the Temporal Temple's private room was furious. We, the Temporal Temple, will remember this. The moment he said this, everyone knew that the Temporal Temple had given up on bidding. The person in the private room had also offended the Temporal Temple. It would probably be troublesome for him to bring back the god Yuanli sand. With 45 billion Saint Spirit crystals, Lin Fei successfully bid for the 150 kilograms of god Yuanli sand. Even if the price was too high, although he had offended the Temporal Temple, Lin Fei didn't care. The people of the Temporal Temple are truly sinister. Once they spread the word, I'm afraid many people will be eyeing the item in my hands. Unfortunately, you are all destined to rejoice for nothing. The 150 kilograms of god Yuanli sand was soon in Lin Fei's hands. Wan Baolu was very happy to exchange the crystals of life. He was also interested in this mysterious black-robed man. He casually took out the crystals of life. Which clan was this young master from? immediately arranged for people to watch that private room. The 150 kilograms of God, Yuanli, sand belongs to our Mo Guizhou. Don't let the temporal temple target it. Their space-time reversal is no small matter. In Mo Guizhou's private room sat a burly man with a valiant aura. He had 2 horns on his head, and his face was covered with black runes. His face was ferocious and terrifying. The temporal temple also arranged for people to watch the private room. No one dared to snatch something that the temporal temple had their eyes on. No matter who the person in the private room was, he would have to bear the wrath of the temporal temple. Moreover, they were in the black domain. Even the space-time reversal would be suppressed. Therefore, it was very common for people to eat other people in the black domain. Countless people had perished in the black domain, and the culprit could not be found. Juan Baolo's private rooms were also arranged. Those who were strong would be seated at the front, while the private rooms at the back were reserved for individuals. The person who dared to make a move might not be someone from a large clan. He might even be a rogue, cultivator. If they didn't keep a close eye on him, they might end up letting others take advantage of him. With the god Yuanli's sand in hand, Lin Fei heaved a sigh of relief. Mission accomplished. What was left was to refine it and push his prideful Heaven 8th layer physique to prideful Heaven 9th layer, becoming a great sovereign. For the rest of the auction, Lin Fei held the thought of watching and did not make a move. Even though a few decent treasures appeared, he did not make a move. This caused those who had been paying attention to the auction to be greatly disappointed. Chapter 2950. Towards the end, the treasures of the Myriad Treasure Pagoda were quite unique and precious. Lin Fei's horizons were broadened. Not only did he obtain the Origin Energy Divine sand on this trip, but he also gained new knowledge. There was no such opportunity in the Saint Spirit domain. As one of the top 10 chambers of commerce, the Myriad Treasure Pagoda was quite confident. As time ticked by, good things were brought out one by one. Soon, it was one of the Myriad Treasure Pagoda's final treasures, the corpse of an essence beast. Everyone should know that our Myriad Treasure Pagoda paid a huge price to obtain the corpse of an essence beast from a special place. Gao by release the corpse, and the huge corpse appeared in everyone's field of vision. Everyone's hair stood on end. The corpse was like a mountain, emitting a dangerous aura as if it could kill them in an instant. It was unbelievably terrifying. Even a great supremacy would have to bow before this aura. The corpse of an essence beast. I didn't expect it to be so terrifying. If it were alive, it would be an invincible figure. The rumors are true. The Myriad Treasure Pagoda is so powerful to be able to obtain such a thing. I wonder who will be able to bid for the corpse of the essence beast this time. As soon as the corpse of the essence beast appeared, it immediately attracted everyone's attention. Lin Fei, who was sitting in the private room, also felt the terrifying, dangerous aura, which made his heart palpitate. Is this an essence beast? It's indeed terrifying. It's afraid of death, and there's a dangerous aura flowing on its body. That should be the aura of essence destruction. Only this kind of aura can give people a terrifying feeling. Lin Fei analyzed in his mind. The battle for the corpse of the essence beast was the most intense. Next, the price quickly soared to 300 billion Saint Spirit crystals. The private rooms that had been silent all this while began to call out bids one after another. No one was willing to give up easily, and the price quickly broke through 400 billion, 500 billion, 600 billion, hundreds of billions of Holy Spirit crystals, and all of them belonged to famous top-notch forces. In the end, the price reached 730 billion. There were only 3 parties left. After an intense battle, the other 2 parties were defeated. The corpse of the essence beast landed in one of the private rooms. No one knew who it was, but they guessed that it was a top expert of the Black Domain. The top-notch experts of the Black Domain were not to be underestimated. They were ridiculously wealthy. While it would be difficult for them to gather a few 100 billion Saint Spirit crystals, it was still possible for them to do so. 800 billion Holy Spirit crystals. When Lin Fei heard this price, he felt a burst of excitement. The price of a corpse had actually reached such a level. Especially in the last 3 places, the competition would be very intense. The Temporal Temple is also a top-notch power, but who would have thought that they would still lose to the person in that private box? In the end, all their efforts were in vain. Lin Fei sighed. After the battle over the soul beast corpses, even though the remaining treasures were quite good, they couldn't compare to this one. The highest price was only around 200 billion. As the auction of the last treasure came to an end, the myriad treasure meeting that was held once every 10,000 years was coming to an end. Do you have a closed-door training room? Lin Fei asked. Yes. Lin Fei stood up. I want to go into seclusion here. Take me there. As soon as he came out of the private box, Lin Fei felt that he was being watched. The myriad treasure tower's private boxes could be isolated from divine senses and various treasures. However, as long as he didn't make a move, the myriad treasure tower wouldn't stop him. The Temporal Temple is really capable. They've locked onto the private box so quickly. The black-robed Lin Fei was expressionless. He was already prepared for this situation. If he underestimated the Temporal Temple, he would definitely be the one to regret it. Lin Fei had never dared to underestimate the Temporal Temple. The Tao of Space-Time was not as easy as it seemed. All along, the Tao of Space-Time was said to be the #1 Tao of Space-Time. Among the 3 ultimate gods, the ultimate god from the Temporal Temple was the strongest. No one could kill him. He was an outstanding expert in both the Tao of Space-Time and the Tao of Space-Time. You're the one who snatched food from the tiger's mouth. You've got guts. A middle-aged man appeared in front of Lin Fei. There was also a man in a cloak blocking his way. Hee, I heard that the people of the Temporal Temple have always been narrow-minded. It seems like it's true. Lin Fei said with a look of realization. If you don't have the money, don't come to the myriad treasure tower for the auction. The middle-aged man's face sank. These words were too harsh. He originally wanted to try to persuade the other party, but it seemed like this guy was a hard rock. It wasn't easy to convince him. You're making an enemy of the Temporal Temple. The middle-aged man's eyes flashed coldly. I don't care who you are. As long as you hand over the divine Yuan sand, you can leave Royal City alive. Otherwise, you'll definitely die once you leave Royal City. Lin Fei flicked his fingers. You've finally come to threaten me. The divine Yuan sand is in my hands. If you have the ability, come and snatch it. I'll be waiting for you. Now, a good dog doesn't block the way. Hurry up and scram. The last sentence was directly shouted. You're courting death. The reverend beside the middle-aged man shot a cold glare at this black-robed man. The middle-aged man shook his head slightly to the people beside him. Don't do anything. This isn't our place. Don't break the rules. Even the Temporal Temple wouldn't feel good if they broke the rules of the Myriad Treasure Tower. They wouldn't be qualified to participate in the Myriad Treasure Meeting in the future. It wasn't worth it. Let's wait and see. The middle-aged man was furious, but he still endured it. The eyes of the cloaked man at the side, hidden under the cloak, lingered on Lin Fei for a long time before he left. Your Myriad Treasure Tower's rules are quite useful. Ha ha ha. On the top floor of the Myriad Treasure Tower, the conflict between the Temporal Temple and the mysterious black-robed man had also reached the ears of the Myriad Treasure Tower's Vice Tower Master Tang. That black-robed man spent a certain amount of money to rent our Myriad Treasure Tower's secret room. It's said that he's going into seclusion. I reckon that he knows that the Temporal Temple and some people are eyeing his divine Yuan sand. He's preparing to leave the royal city after the news dies down. A confidant said. Vice Tower Master Tang's man frowned slightly. As long as they don't cause trouble for the Myriad Treasure Tower, they can do whatever they want. Oh, right, when that person comes out of seclusion next time, please come here. Lin Fei used life crystals to exchange for more than 40 billion Saint Spirit crystals, which attracted the attention of the Myriad Treasure Tower. Vice Tower Master Tang still wanted to meet this mysterious, black-robed man. Nearly 50 billion Saint Spirit crystals was nothing, but the black-robed man used life crystals to exchange for it. Apart from that, he also suspected that there was someone behind the black-robed man who had mastered the refining method of the divine Yuan weapon. This was the most crucial point. Chapter 2951. Myriad Treasure Pagoda, one of the seclusion rooms. Lin Fei rented a seclusion room on the spot, paid a fee, and entered the room. After checking that there were no problems, he took out 60 kilograms of essence force sand. There's time acceleration in this place. No wonder the rent isn't cheap. Ordinary people really can't afford it. Lin Fei quickly focused his attention on refining the essence force sand. After I refine the essence force sand, if you guys are still here, I won't stand on ceremony. He grabbed the essence force sand and began to refine it. Traces of special energy entered his body, strengthening the particles of his physical body. 500 kilograms of essence force sand. 500 kilograms of essence force sand. In everyone's eyes, this thing that couldn't be refined quickly melted in Lin Fei's hands. Caddy after caddy of origin energy divine, sand was quickly refined. Time passed minute by minute. Outside Myriad Treasure Pagoda, 80 years passed in the blink of an eye. In the courtyard of an inn. He's not out yet. Yes, I heard he's in seclusion. You can go out now. Oh, right. Continue to keep an eye on him. I want to know immediately when he comes out. The middle-aged man from the temporal temple stayed in the courtyard. He hadn't left in 80 years because that guy hadn't come out yet. 150 kilograms of essence force sand. No one could snatch it away. At the same time, there were also people keeping an eye on the other courtyards. The matter of the Myriad Treasure Pagoda Conference was no secret. A guy who popped out of nowhere had snatched a treasure from the temporal temple, a full 150 kilograms of essence force sand. Now he was being targeted by the temporal temple, the demonic motherland, and the sky sea dragon. This was worth 50 billion Saint Spirit crystals. That guy might be able to casually take out tens of billions of Saint Spirit crystals. This was worth being tempted. Outside Myriad Treasure Pagoda, various spies were keeping an eye on him. Once that person came out, they would immediately report the news. Myriad Treasure Pagoda's deputy tower head Tang also received the news. He knew best who the spies outside were keeping an eye on. Myriad Treasure Pagoda was very secretive about its customers' information, but it couldn't withstand investigations. Especially when they found out that this person came alone, they were even more relieved. In the Black Realm, there was a special energy that prevented the flow of time, making it very difficult to find the murderer. So, it became everyone's favorite thing to do in the Black Domain. So long as it was done carefully, there was no need to worry about being found. Without a special flying treasure, it was impossible to move an inch in the Black Domain. 1 year's journey in the Saint Spirit Domain would take at least 10 years in the Black Domain. That was the difference. Myriad Treasure Tower, inside the seclusion room, the last handful of origin energy, divine, sand was completely refined. A dazzling golden light appeared around Lin Fei, filling the entire seclusion room and turning it into a Jingguang. AO Tian 9 levels, break for me. Lin Fei, who had been sitting cross-legged all this time, suddenly opened his eyes. The golden light that had spread out flowed back into his body. After a series of rumbling sounds, Lin Fei's body erupted with a terrifying aura. When this aura appeared, Lin Fei asked Little Devil to shield it so that not a trace of it leaked out. Finally, AO Tian 9 levels, it's even stronger than I imagined. Those particles became incomparably huge, like a huge space filled with a powerful aura. This was the biggest difference between the 8th and ninth levels. If the 8th level physical body particles were children, then after AO Tion 9 levels, each physical body particle would grow into an adult, possessing valiant strength. Now, the attacks of the Supremes were like scratching an itch without any threat. Boom! Lin Fei casually punched the air, and the void was revealed. A huge force rushed down, and the void was constantly torn apart, forming a bottomless black hole. The power of the void was unable to stop the power that erupted from this punch. Deeper and deeper. Soon, Lin Fei sensed that at the end of the void, a barrier appeared, emitting an abnormally thick aura. At the same time, he also felt an even more palpitating and terrifying aura. The force that rushed down was instantly wrapped by another force, disappearing without a trace in an instant. The black hole slowly healed. Lin Fei once again activated his power, which was even thicker than the last time. Like a sharp knife stabbing down, it once again split open the void, came to the end of the depths, and collided with the balls of black and white power. The force that was released only lasted for a moment, and was quickly disintegrated by the black and white power. If I'm not wrong, this should be the barrier of the continent. The black and white power is the power of Yuan extermination. It's filled with overbearing destructive power. The power of my attack just now was much stronger than when my strength was increased by 5 times, but in front of the power of Yuan extermination, it was easily disintegrated. This was the first time that Lin Fei had come into close contact with the power of Yuan extermination. The Saint Spirit Realm was a continent, and it was protected by the power of Yuan extermination. Therefore, it was very difficult for outsiders to invade, and similarly, it was very difficult to leave. The tyrannical power of Yuan extermination coexisted with the continent, and many people might not be able to feel it in their entire lives. The barrier of the continent was very thick. Lin Fei had tried before, but unfortunately, he was unable to shake the barrier. The difference in strength was too great. This time, a casual attack pierced through the void, broke the barrier, and saw the power of the black and white power of Yuan extermination. It was even more terrifying than he had imagined. Even if he was at the 9th level of the Proud Heaven Realm, he would not dare to barge in. If he did, there would only be one outcome, and not even his bones would be left. I have to be at the 10th level of the Proud Heaven Realm to be able to withstand the attack of the power of Yuan extermination. After observing for a while, Lin Fei did not attack anymore and allowed the black hole to close up, and everything returned to its original state. I'm at the 9th level of the Proud Heaven Realm, and I can also push it to the peak of the 9th level. Lin Fei took out the Saint Spirit Crystal and began to refine and absorb it. One by one, the life crystals were used up. These were all top-grade life crystals that Lin Fei had prepared. Any one of them would make anyone's eyes go red with envy. The late stage of the 9th level of the Proud Heaven Realm, barely enough. Even though he did not reach the peak, Lin Fei was not surprised. To be able to push to the late stage, he was satisfied. It was also thanks to the contribution of the Dark Shadow Devil Lord, which made him want to make another trip to thank the Dark Shadow Devil Lord. From the 9th level of the Proud Heaven Realm to the 10th level, he needed 2,000 kilograms of God Energy sand, which was not something that Lin Fei could consider for the time being. 300 kilograms of God Energy, sand to 2,000 kilograms. This gap was a bit big. Lin Fei was helpless. The 9th and 8th levels of the Proud Heaven Realm would double his strength. If he used his strength to support it, he would be able to explode with 5 times his strength. No, it should be 10 times his strength. Lin Fei could now learn the 2nd level, which allowed him to use 10 times his strength for 2 hours. This was 1 hour longer than the 1st level, and if he used the 1st level, he would be able to use it for 4 hours. 4 hours, 5 times his strength. That was also very scary. He was very satisfied. Chapter 2952. Another 10 years passed. In the Myriad Treasure Tower, Lin Fei stayed for a total of almost 90 years. The stone door that had been closed finally opened. A young, black-clothed man walked out. The people who had been watching immediately sent a message, telling Deputy Tower Master Tang that the man came out of seclusion and seemed to be ready to leave the Myriad Treasure Tower. Respected guest, our Deputy Tower Master Tang of the Myriad Treasure Tower wants to see you. The people who had been watching took the initiative to greet him. This was the task given by the higher-ups. It seems that I don't know your Deputy Tower Master. I don't think there's anything to see. Lin Fei was not surprised that someone would wait for him here. The only thing he didn't expect was Deputy Tower Master Tang of the Myriad Treasure Tower, whose status was quite high. The people of the Myriad Treasure Tower were stunned. Someone actually refused the Deputy Tower Master's summons. Countless people wanted to see him. Was there something wrong with this guy's brain? Okay, don't block my way. The people of the Myriad Treasure Tower could only take the initiative to make way. They really didn't have the guts to block the way and could only watch the other party. Tower Master, he left. I couldn't stop him. Deputy Tower Master Tang saw that the man in black didn't appear and knew what was going on. He didn't blame him. It seems that this guy is a proud and arrogant person. I wanted to recruit him, but it seems that there is no need. I am quite interested to know how he will resist a group of hungry wolves and tigers outside. Deputy Tower Master Tang didn't care if the other party didn't accept his good intentions. After all, he gave the other party a chance. He came out. That person came out. It must be this guy. When Lin Fei came out of the Myriad Treasure Tower in black, he was immediately targeted. 1-2-13. Without needing to look, Lin Fei knew that he was targeted by 13 people. The skill of tracking was quite good. Even a high lord might not be able to discover it so easily. It seems that there are more than I expected. The corners of Lin Fei's mouth raised slightly. He went directly to an inn near the Myriad Treasure Tower and enjoyed a delicious meal with peace of mind. At this time, the news of Lin Fei coming out also fell into the ears of the forces that were tracking him. Everyone was overjoyed. He finally came out. They thought that they would have to wait for hundreds or thousands of years. That guy is dead meat. Everyone rubbed their palms together, waiting for the other party to leave Royal City. Lin Fei pretended not to know anything and swaggered out of the royal city after a feast of good wine and delicacies. After Lin Fei left, 3 people were the first to catch up to him. Ha ha ha, we're the luckiest. Rumor has it that guy has 150 kilograms of divine Yuanli sand, which is worth 50 billion Holy Spirit crystals. If the 3 of us join hands and kill that guy, we might be able to get a few 100 billion Holy Spirit crystals. Then we'll be able to enjoy ourselves for a while. A burly man said sinisterly, Big brother, let's give chase. Don't worry, that guy is probably a newbie. He got hit by the special mark I left behind, so he can't run away. These 3 were the 3 brothers who were famous for their dog-eat-dog behavior. It was unknown how many people had fallen into their hands. They quickly followed him out. Haha, the Su family's 3 brothers are experts in joint attacks. They can even threaten grand monarchs. This is a good opportunity to test that guy. On the royal city's walls, a middle-aged man from the temporal temple laughed. I reckon that many people are like us, planning to wait and see. There were indeed a few people standing on the royal city's walls. They were all staring in the direction that the black-robed man had left. Although the Myriad Treasures Tower did not reveal its whereabouts, it was not difficult to find out who it was. This was especially true for those who had obtained the privilege of a top-class private room. As long as they were willing to pay the price, they would be able to obtain something. Lin Fei did not use a flying ship. Within the Black Domain, the fastest-moving ship was the Black Domain flying ship. As for the Black Domain flying ship, it was not cheap. The most common one cost 1 billion Holy Spirit crystals, the precious one cost 5 billion, and the rare one cost more than 10 billion. Within the Black Domain, It was extremely tiring to travel alone without a flying ship. At the same time, the consumption was also great. This was a publicly acknowledged fact. Outside the Azure Royal City, Lin Fei's speed was not very fast. 3 people, they have guts. It seems like they are very confident in their own strength. Lin Fei easily knew that there were people chasing after him. Once he left the royal city, no one would care if he committed murder or arson. No matter where one was in the Black Domain, it was extremely dangerous to travel alone. This was because there was no guarantee that one would be killed at any time and all their wealth would be plundered. For instance, right now, the 3 Su brothers had caught up. Big brother, I'll go first. If I can't do it, you guys go after him. Once we steal his things, we can use the Black Domain flying ship to leave. They might not be able to catch up. Su-san said. Suda and Su-san had no objections. It was good to test the waters. To be able to survive from the betrayal, the 3 brothers were famous for being cautious. Although the other party was at the High Lord realm, they would not let down their guard. This was the result of many years of experience. Who? Su-san was the first to attack. He turned into a massive rain of black raindrops that fell upon Lin Fei's area. Each raindrop was the size of a fingernail and was as heavy as 1,000 caddies. Each strike was at the peak of the High Lord realm and could easily pierce through the opponent's defenses. This was Su-san's best move. The most terrifying thing about this move was the continuous attack. The power of each strike could easily pulverize the particles of one's body. More often than not, a single move could heavily injure one. The strength of the 3 Su brothers is indeed not weak, especially this Su-san. This move is extremely threatening. I wonder how that fellow will block it. This secret technique is indeed extraordinary. It can silently pulverize one's body. It's not easy to defend against. That fellow is dead for sure. He's so weak, but he still dares to come out. Lin Fei stopped, and the corners of his lips curled up. That's all you've got? A faint golden halo appeared around his body, forming a barrier. The black raindrops that fell from the sky were repelled when they collided with the barrier. Not a single black raindrop could penetrate it. Again, the sky full of raindrops swept over once more. Lin Fei waved his hand, and a huge force surged over. Wherever it passed, there would be endless banging sounds. The black raindrops were smashed into pieces on the spot, as if someone had smashed them into pieces with a single palm strike. This was just a casual attack from him. Not good. Third brother has met his match. He easily blocked third brother's attack. The 2 Su brothers had been paying attention to the situation. When the black raindrops exploded, they realized that the situation was not good. They had met their match, and it seemed like they were injured. Let's go. Without any hesitation, Su disappeared into the sky with a whoosh, concealing all of his aura. Chapter 2953. When the 3 brothers of the Su family joined hands, their power increased greatly. One walked the dark world. One could turn into black raindrops that could penetrate deep into the body's particles, and the last one was skilled in saber arts. Each saber strike was accompanied by a green poison that paralyzed space and the body, affecting the speed to a certain extent. In the Black Domain, the 3 brothers of the Su family had a certain reputation, and it wasn't an undeserved reputation. Even peak supremacies might not be able to easily block them. The most terrifying was the Dark World Walker, Suda. He was the most terrifying. When one's flaws were the most obvious, he could kill them in one strike. No one knew when he would act. The experts of the Black Domain are truly amazing. With the 3 of them joining hands, even a peak supremacies would have a hard time dealing with them. A moment of carelessness could lead to death. Lin Fei thought, unfortunately you met me. Dark World Walker, Suda. Lin Fei could see through space and see him clearly. He was lying in ambush beside him like a hunter. He could deliver a fatal blow at any moment. Let's kill them first. Lin Fei laughed. He stepped out and pierced through the air. He stretched out his hand, causing a gigantic palm to blot out the sky, grabbing all the black raindrops. Su-san's body appeared, and he was grabbed by the neck. Continue. Su-san was shocked, desperately trying to escape. It was like he had lost control of his body. Hua hua hua! The life energy in his body began to leak out. With a pung, Su-san exploded into nothingness. Lin Fei also instantly plundered the other party's life energy and used force to kill him. The two happened at the same time, and no one could see the changes. Su-san was the first to die. Third brother. Su-da and Su-er's eyes were scarlet, their minds shaken. Their third brother, who was extremely good at escaping, had actually been killed. Now it's your turn. Lin Fei took another step forward. The void of the black domain did not have such a strong blocking ability. Furthermore, he was at such a close distance. The saber light that filled the sky moved over. When the green poisonous creatures touched Lin Fei's body, they were automatically repelled. Lin Fei also stretched out his hand, passing through the dangerous saber light and grabbing Su-er's neck. Kacha! Su-er collapsed and was instantly killed. Lin Fei had killed 2 experts from the black domain in a row. It was as if he had done something insignificant. Your brothers are all dead. You can go down with them. Lin Fei looked at the dark world. His palm expanded and struck the dark world. Not good. We've been discovered. Su-da knew that he was in big trouble. His second and third brothers had been killed in an instant. Even a peak supremacy couldn't do such a thing. He turned around and ran for his life. He couldn't care less. He's fast. Lin Fei's attacks were even faster. A huge palm whizzed over. It slapped onto Su-da's body, smashing him into pieces. In the blink of an eye, the 3 Su brothers were dead. Lin Fei looked up at the sky and smirked. Those who want something from me, open your eyes and look carefully. If you want to die, come at me. I don't mind fulfilling your wishes. If you don't want to die, scram as far as you can. At this moment, Lin Fei was filled with dominance. With the death of the 3 Su brothers, the surrounding hidden forces, as well as the experts who had betrayed them, all changed their expressions. Clearly, they hadn't expected such a situation. Damn it, the 3 brothers of the Su family are actually dead. Am I seeing things? That's too fast. Su-san and Su-er are a bit weaker, but Su-da can travel in the dark world. He's an expert at survival, but he still died. What's that guy's background? He's only a supremacy. Should we make a move? He's too scary. The 3 Su brothers were able to survive the joint attack of 3 peak supremacies. That black-robed guy is too terrifying. The 3 Su brothers died so quickly that it completely exceeded everyone's expectations. For a moment, no one dared to move. The 3 Su brothers were a lesson to be learned. Even now, they couldn't tell anything. They could barely tell that the black-robed guy was a physique cultivator. There was no trace of emperor intent on his body, and his strength was extremely condensed and powerful. Such a physique cultivator was equivalent to a peak supremacy, and he was very difficult to deal with. The 3 Su brothers didn't have the slightest ability to resist in front of the black-robed guy, so it was useless for them to go up. How arrogant! Let me try you. The black-robed guy had tens of billions of treasures on him, so some people still took the risk. A gray-robed, middle-aged supremacy put away his treasure and appeared. With a long spear in hand, he slashed down in Lin Fei's direction. The void between them was instantly torn apart by the spear, and a huge black line appeared. I didn't expect the wandering Spear King of the Dark Domain to make a move. The power of this spear is extraordinary. It tore apart the void of the Dark Domain. The Quicksand Spear King's strength has increased again. A peak supremacy versus a peak supremacy. This time the victor will be decided. After the gray-robed supremacy's wandering Spear King used his spear, he easily shook the void, displaying his extraordinary strength. His use of strength was also fierce and domineering. This was the first time Lin Fei had encountered an opponent who used a spear. This move was huge, and the strength was condensed into a single line. It was indeed very terrifying, and it had the strength of a peak supremacy. Hee, your strength isn't enough. It's a bit lacking. Lin Fei didn't even look at it. He met the black line with his fist, and the void shattered infinitely, turning into a huge black hole. This is real strength. Lin Fei casually slashed with his palm. With a loud rumble, the same black line appeared, and it was even more powerful than the wandering Spear King's spear. The Quicksand Spear King gripped the spear in his hand tightly, and he kept thrusting, bringing with him waves of power. In the end, a black whirlpool was formed in front of him. His whole body flickered with flowing light, and he kept retreating. This attack was life-threatening. The black line rushed forward, and everywhere it passed, the void was torn apart. The wandering Spear King's attack was easily disintegrated, and the whirlpool in front of him was also split in two. The flowing light on his body blocked it, but it was broken by the black line, and the black line passed through his body. The wandering Spear King was dead. In terms of strength, no one could compete with Lin Fei. The wandering Spear King, a peak supremacy powerhouse, never thought that he would die from another kind of terrifying strength. A peak supremacy powerhouse was killed, and the surrounding area fell silent once again. This black-robed man was definitely a genuine peak supremacy powerhouse. The strength of his palm was so terrifying that it scared the other supremacies so much that they turned around and ran. If each of them used a palm, they would definitely die. Quickly, run! That fellow is too terrifying. In just a few moments, all the experts who tried to attack had fled. Apart from a few people from a few forces, there was no one else in the sky. Pa, 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 pa. After they left, there was a round of applause. Young man, is this your strength? No wonder you dared to snatch the things of our temporal temple. After the applause, a group of people appeared in the sky. A black warship appeared, and it was black and exuded a domineering aura. The warship was completely black, and it flickered with luster. Chapter 2954. Someone from the temporal temple had finally come out. At the beginning, the middle-aged supremacy wanted to see how capable the other party was, and he was shocked. To be able to defeat the three brothers of the Su family and the famous Wandering Spear King so easily, this person could be considered a monster. It was not difficult for a supremacy to defeat another supremacy, but it would be difficult to kill the other party in a short period of time, unless one was stronger and had greater strength. The performance of the black-robed man had piqued the interest of the temporal temple's middle-aged supremacy. You guys finally came out. I thought you were going to continue waiting. That was really a waste of my time. Lin Fei laughed. Facing the temporal temple, you can still speak in such a tone. You are quite good. The middle-aged exalt said coolly, Now I'll give you a chance. Become my servant, and I can spare you from death and not fuss about the myriad treasure towers matter. After all, it's too much of a pity for an expert like you to die. As one of the three peak powers, the temporal temple would definitely try to recruit powerful experts if they were able to. As a result, the temporal temple's strength had increased imperceptibly. This black-robed man was so powerful that in the eyes of the middle-aged supremacy, he was a rare warrior. If he could take him in, he would be of great help in the future. A servant who could kill a peak supremacy was not easy to find. In the Saint Spirit world, including the Black region, there were only a few powerful experts who trained in the body. It was impossible for someone from a top faction to join them. If he had a powerful background, he would have brought it out long ago instead of staying in the Myriad Treasure Tower. Lin Fei laughed loudly. Ha ha ha. You want me to be your servant? You are really stupid. How about this? You can be my servant, and I will not make things difficult for you today. After all, your strength is not bad. On the battleship, the faces of the people from the temporal temple turned gloomy. Great One, let this little one bring some people down to eliminate this fella. One of the trusted aides at his side was clad in armor, taking the initiative to volunteer, going up to execute the other party. The middle-aged supremacy's position in the temporal temple was not low. Now that he was ignored by a young man, the thought of recruiting him faded. No matter how powerful he was, it was useless to keep an arrogant and unruly person by his side. Jiangan, bring your team up there and meet them, the middle-aged High Lord said lightly. The ferocious-looking fellow clad in armor was one of his trusted aides. He was in charge of a space-time battle team. In the space-time temple, a space-time battle team wasn't something an ordinary person could lead. Without status and experience, one could forget about it. The space-time battle team could not be compared to the lower realm battle teams. In the Saint Spirit domain, this was an existence whose name spread far and wide. No one wanted to run into a space-time battle team. Every space-time battle team had a battle strength that surpassed a peak supremacy. Even an early-stage great supremacy would not be able to defeat a space-time battle team. Space-time battle team was just that powerful. Not far away in the sky, there was also a warship. It was on par with the temporal temple. Looks like Fan Haotian has met with quite a bit of trouble. That fellow is really surprising. His strength is so tyrannical, but there is actually no news of him being in the Saint Spirit domain. It is really a little strange. This was a demon from the demon motherland. A cold aura flickered on this demon's body, and he had a thoughtful look on his face. This person must be quite famous. My intuition is never wrong. If things go wrong, Fan Haotian will have to suffer a lot. My lord, is that black-robed fellow really that powerful? The space-time battle team is not an ordinary battle team. Even those that are ranked at the bottom of the Great Sovereign Divine list cannot defeat the space-time battle team. Ha, this seat's eyes aren't grown for nothing. You guys watch closely. The demon from the demon motherland laughed sinisterly. It's best if both sides fight to the death. I don't mind destroying them and monopolizing the benefits. Ha. How dare you disrespect my lord? Now, I will let you witness the power of the space-time battle team. Jiangan rushed down with an aggressive aura. At the same time, 16 black-armored men descended from behind him. Every single one of them wore a mask, and the weapons they used were very special, like a bright moon. They carried a murderous aura. Lin Fei had heard of the space-time battle team before. Every space-time battle team was extremely famous, and they were known as the Reaper of Supremacies. Countless supremacies had died in the hands of the space-time battle team. I didn't expect to meet the space-time battle team here. That middle-aged man on the battleship is not simple. Since he can lead a space-time battle team, I can witness the power of the space-time battle team. Who? Jiangan led the space-time battle team down. In mid-air, the battle formation opened up, turning into a perfect hole. Jiangan became the leader, and the members of the space-time battle team behind him seemed to turn illusory, becoming blurry. However, Jiangan's aura became stronger and stronger, rising to a peak. Hua. Their figures became blurry. A huge moon appeared in the sky, faintly discernible. On the moon, streams of energy flowed down, starting to affect the space-time of this region. Lin Fei also began to feel the suppression of the space-time energy. No, it should be the power of space. Time and space belonged to two different paths. The former was more difficult, while the control of space was much easier. The surrounding space began to solidify. Lin Fei also felt like he was being squeezed in space, unable to move. It seemed like nothing, but in fact he was being suppressed. This was the power of space. It could easily affect a region of space. In this region, he had to endure the power of this power, and his strength would also be reduced by more than half. How could he block the opponent's killer move? The power is not bad. Directly freezing space has the power of a peak supremacy. No wonder ordinary supremacies would run as far as they can when they meet the space-time battle team. This kind of space freezing is very difficult to resist. Lin Fei silently felt the power of the space compression. The strands of power invaded the particles of his body, trying to affect them. With a thought, the particles of his body exploded with terrifying power, strangling the power until it condensed outside his body, forming a golden halo, blocking all the space power outside. Stupid guy, you should feel the space freezing. This is the power of our space-time battle team. But that is just the most ordinary level. Jianggan laughed dryly. Later, I will suppress you alive. Solidify. Hua hua hua. The space solidified again, and the power was even stronger. Under the power of this solidification, all living things would be killed. He controlled a space domain. Chapter 2955. Jianggan commanded the space-time battle team and controlled the space-time energy in the surrounding area, forming a massive solidified energy. Massive energy surged over from all directions, vast and boundless. At this moment, it made people feel even more insignificant. Lin Fei immediately became the target of the space-time solidification attack. The power of this move surpassed the peak of the supremacy stage and reached the level of a great supremacy. Furthermore, it was an attack that couldn't be neutralized. You weren't fighting against a person, but the power of space. Good timing. I can test the endurance of a world-defying ninth stage fleshly body. Lin Fei didn't retaliate, allowing the power of space to penetrate him. This was the first time he was truly facing the power of space. The golden ring of defense on the surface of his body didn't block the compression of the power of space, and it directly penetrated into his body. Out of 100% of the power, 20% was blocked, and the remaining 80% seeped in. The power of space collided with the particles of his body, and it was tyrannical and terrifying, as if it wanted to flatten everything. The endless pressure kept invading him. The particles of his body were incomparably huge, and no matter how the power of space collided with them, they didn't move at all. When I was at the 8th stage, I might have been injured, but after the 9th stage, the particles of my body are incomparably huge, and they are as sturdy as a boulder. How can a mere compression force shake them? Lin Fei observed and revealed a smile. The reputation of the world-defying 9th stage was well-deserved. Jianggan commanded the battle team to attack, and when he saw that the other party didn't resist, he felt that the other party had given up. In front of the space-time battle team, once one was trapped in this area, their strength would be greatly reduced, and any resistance would be futile. This was something that everyone knew. Jianggan didn't think that the other party had the strength to block such a terrifying attack. Everyone knew that the space-time battle team was the most difficult to deal with, and they would be facing the endless power of space. You can't take it anymore, but it's a pity that you've done the stupidest thing. Jianggan sneered. Let me send you on your final journey. If you can reincarnate, remember that you can offend anyone but the space-time temple. The power of space compression surged forth once more, and it was even more terrifying than before. The place where Lin Fei was immediately engulfed by this wave of power. Any living creature in this space would not be able to survive this attack. All of them would die. You dare to fight against us, Jianggan said disdainfully and prepared to collect the items. In front of the space-time battle team's attack, there was really no one who could withstand it. Every single one of them was killed instantly. The power of space was no joke. Ha 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 ha. So this is the strength of your space-time battle team? You're just tickling me. How annoying. Just as he stepped forward, a lazy voice rang out. The guy who had been imprisoned by the spatial shackles was actually still there, and he was looking over lazily. You actually blocked it. Jianggan was shocked. The other party didn't seem to be injured at all. Immediately, he looked like he had seen a ghost. Too weak. It's really disappointing. Lin Fei complained. If this is the strength of the space-time team, then it's way too different from what I imagined. In the sky, the people on the warship wavered slightly. It was really surprising that he could withstand the attack so easily. Jiangan shook his head. He must be faking it. In front of the space-time battle team's attack, he must be an arrow at the end of its flight. Yes, that must be it. No one can come out unscathed. Continue attacking. The space-time battle team moved again. They also seemed to feel insulted. To actually look down on the space-time battle team, he was simply courting death. Even without Captain Jiangan's order, the 16 of them would take action themselves and kill this guy. The huge space-time will appeared again. Wave after wave of spatial compression force attacked. Facing a physique cultivator, such an attack method was the most suitable. Even the wandering Gun King was easily killed, so they wouldn't approach him. Come. You're not strong enough. Bigger, you haven't eaten yet. Sigh, what a disappointment. It seems like the treatment in the space-time temple isn't good. You can't even eat your fill. No wonder you're so weak. Why don't you follow me? I guarantee that you'll eat to your heart's content and have women. How about it? Think about it. Such opportunities don't come often. Hearing these taunts, the members of the space-time battle team almost vomited blood. What a shame. Too shameless. They attacked with all their might, guiding the battle formation to unleash its strongest power. Yet, that person seemed to be fine and continued to say whatever he wanted, causing their faces to turn green and red. Jiangan was about to go crazy. Every word the other party said was like a huge slap to his face, causing him to feel a burning pain. Every time he felt like he was about to succeed, the other party seemed to be fine. How can he keep holding on? Jiangan couldn't understand. The other party was just a peak supremacy. Even if his physical body was strong, it was the same. Since when could a physique cultivator resist for such a long time? Ha, Fan Haotian, your space-time battle team is too weak. You can't even deal with a single person. Is it because you've been squeezed too much that you can't even eat your fill? On the Devil Ancestor Nation's warship, the demon laughed loudly. Seeing the space-time temple suffer a setback, the Devil Ancestor Nation's side was gloating. Fortunately, they didn't attack immediately. Otherwise, they would be the ones getting slapped in the face. Fan Haotian's expression was very ugly. A peak supremacy cultivator was actually so difficult to deal with. It was really strange that he could resist the space-time battle team's attacks. Isn't it just a physical body? In front of the space-time battle team, no matter how strong he is, it's just that. Fan Haotian said solemnly, Little Jiang, use your killer move. The space-time battle team's dignity can't be lost. If the previous attack didn't work, then he would change to a stronger one. Jiangan changed the way he controlled the battle team. The space-time wheel behind him suddenly became solid, shining brightly and emitting a terrifying and dangerous aura. Slash! The space-time wheel disappeared with a swoosh. Lin Fei was instantly targeted by a terrifying aura. A domineering aura crushed down. The sky-splitting rod appeared in Lin Fei's hand. He swung it horizontally, and the space-time wheel slashed onto the rod. A huge force directly erupted, destroying the surrounding space. Especially behind him, a huge black hole split open. This killer move is really terrifying. The sky-splitting rod resisted 70% of the force, but 30% still penetrated, and the last 10% landed on the particles of the body. The surrounding space collapsed, and the squeezing force of the space disappeared. Now it's my turn! Lin Fei used his movement technique and pounced toward the space-time battle team. In just 2 breaths, he grabbed the sky-splitting rod and slashed down. Condense! Space-time battle team also had a method. The surrounding space started to condense, forming an invisible protection. Chapter 2956. The power of Lin Fei's strike was not small. It forcefully broke open the frozen space, and huge force penetrated into their bodies, sending them flying. All of them were seriously injured. The violent power ravaged their bodies, and cracks appeared all over their bodies, including their armors. As the leader, Jiangan was the most seriously injured, and he kept vomiting blood. When the Essence Force Divine weapon was half open, the power was not that easy to block. After stepping into the proud Sky 9-tier body, Lin Fei's casual power had the power of the 8-tier body, which was 5 times the power of the 8-tier body. He had experienced the attack of the space-time battle team, and he naturally had no interest in continuing to play. Space-time battle team can't withstand a single blow. Lin Fei looked at the black warship in the sky, and with a shuttle he came near the warship and slashed down with the rod again. A huge light appeared and hit the black warship heavily. A shield appeared on the black warship immediately, wrapping it up. Just as the shield appeared, with a crack, the shield broke, and the sky-splitting rod directly hit the warship. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying power exploded, and the black field warship was torn apart, and it almost fell. Fan Haotian was also caught off guard. A huge force swept over, and the space in front of him condensed, forming a spatial wall, and he was forced to retreat. The dispersed power penetrated all the way, and the defense of the spatial wall was directly broken. It was extremely fast, and it penetrated Fan Haotian's body. This is not the strength of a peak supremacy. This guy is a great supremacy. Even though there was a layer of spatial energy on the surface of Zhang Xian's body to block it, it still managed to seep in and destroy the particles of his physical body. Zhang Xian's face changed drastically as he looked at the other party with fear and disbelief. The person in front of him was a great supremacy. Only the strength of a great supremacy could easily penetrate, and his spatial defense couldn't stop it. The opponent's power exceeded the limits of his defense. Since when did a great supremacy appear in the Saint Spirit realm? What a joke! Fan Haotian wasn't afraid of supremacies, even peak supremacies. That was why he wanted to recruit him. A peak supremacy could deal with 2 or 3 peak supremacies without a problem. However, he had never expected that the person they were so certain of would be a great supremacy. His frightening strength was even greater than an ordinary great supremacy's. Their spatial protection wasn't that easy to break. The other party's strength was tyrannical and thick, directly crushing over, walking the path of absolute strength. You're the great sovereign. Who are you? Fan Haotian kept retreating, fear and dread rising in his heart. The space around him seemed like it was about to collapse, and a large part of it caved in. However, he was unable to force back the black-clothed man who was chasing after him. The staff in the black-clothed man's hand chopped down again and again. The power of the staff pierced through the air, giving him no chance to retaliate at all. He could only passively defend. Under Xiao Chen's passive defense, the tyrannical energy seeped into his body, shattering the particles of his physical body and worsening his injuries. Great sovereign, no wonder you're so confident. On the warship of the ancestral Devil Kingdom, the devils were also shocked. The person he was casually dealing with was a great sovereign, a close combat great sovereign with terrifying combat strength. Even on the warship, they could feel the might of the power he displayed. We're in luck. A great exalted lord like him is indeed terrifying. Fan Haotian is in big trouble. A strength-type great exalted lord is at least at the mid-great exalted lord realm. If he unleashes his full power, he would have the strength of a late great exalted lord. No wonder he's so confident to snatch food from the tiger's mouth. With such strength, even if the Temporal Temple wants to retaliate, they'll have to consider whether they can bear the losses they suffered. Fan Haotian was having a hard time resisting. His vitality was constantly being consumed. The energy that seeped into his body was constantly destroying him, but he didn't have the time to disperse it. He could only barely suppress it. His strength was inferior to the other party, so it was extremely difficult for him to resist. This great sovereign, I'm willing to apologize for this matter. What do you think? We don't want the Yuan force divine sand anymore. Fan Haotian's body was enveloped by spatial energy, but he couldn't stop the energy from seeping into his body. His face turned pale, and he could only choose to make peace. It didn't matter if he lost face to a great sovereign, as the other party was strong. What was important was that he could survive. If he knew that the other party was a great sovereign, Fan Haotian wouldn't have come even if he was beaten to death. The space-time battle team was heavily injured, and he was also having a hard time. His passive defense wasn't able to block all the attacks. Fan Haotian didn't know how many methods he used, but he failed every time. The other party's strength was terrifying. Even the spatial energy that specialized in defense couldn't block the ferocious attacks of such power. Fan Haotian had no choice but to lower his head. Fan Haotian was proud, but he also knew that he didn't have any qualifications in front of this great sovereign. Lin Fei was very disappointed with this expert from the Temporal Temple. Originally, he could still interact with him, but from the looks of it, this expert was only SOSO. This expert's method of defending back and forth might be effective against ordinary supremacies, but against a strength-type expert like him, the difference was like night and day. Now you know how to beg for mercy. With a loud shout, Lin Fei's sky splitter pierced forward like a spear, piercing through Fan Haotian's defense and stabbing into his chest. Half of Fan Haotian's body exploded on the spot. Lin Fei didn't continue to attack this Temporal Temple's great sovereign. After Fan Haotian was defeated, half of his body recovered, but he still couldn't get rid of the power. His flesh was still bleeding, and he couldn't control himself for a moment. I can spare your life. Give me 50 billion Saint Spirit crystals, and I can let you go. Lin Fei grabbed the sky splitter and said indifferently, You only have one chance. Fan Haotian was very clear about the power of that sky splitter. A few more hits, and the other party could easily kill him. 50 billion Saint Spirit crystals was also a huge number. It seems like you're prepared to die. A wave of killing intent locked onto Fan Haotian. Wait, this great sovereign, are you sure about 50 billion Saint Spirit crystals? You should know that our Temporal Temple is... Before he finished speaking, a black shadow whipped over, and the sky splitter hit Fan Haotian's body. Pum! Under the second attack, Fan Haotian's body exploded on the spot. Don't use the Temporal Temple to threaten me. Are you going to give it or not? Lin Fei said indifferently, The next time I attack, it won't be easy. I'm afraid you'll die. Fan Haotian also understood that if he didn't hand over 50 billion Saint Spirit crystals today, he probably wouldn't be able to leave this place. He couldn't afford such a loss. I'll give it. Chapter 2957. After handing over 50 billion Saint Spirit crystals, Fan Haotian felt rather helpless. This person's strength was ridiculously strong. Even the power of space could not stop his power from seeping in. This battle was a very humiliating loss. Sir, you are not afraid of the Temporal Temple. Can you leave your name so that we can know which great supremacy you lost to? Fan Haotian gritted his teeth and said, Lin Fei was quite surprised. You guys are not willing to give up. You want to know my name? I don't mind telling you. My name is Aotian. Your Temporal Temple is very good at finding people. Come if you have the ability. Next time I won't be so polite. You are. Aotian. Fan Haotian could not immediately associate this person with the Aotian Lord. Why? Can't I? Lin Fei laughed. As a member of the Temporal Temple, Fan Haotian had heard of the Aotian Lord's name. He was an extremely powerful supremacy of the body tempering school. Now, it seemed that this person was even more terrifying than he had imagined. Even though he did not reveal the aura of a great supremacy, his strength was definitely that of a great supremacy. In the supremacy realm, he was an invincible existence. His cultivation speed was too monstrous. Fan Houtian knew the name and felt that his loss was not unjustified. However, this guy had offended the temporal temple and that other power. His days in the Saint Spirit world would not be so good. The Aotion Lord Strength is more powerful than I imagined. However, even though you have suppressed me, you have also offended another power. I believe that they will come knocking on your door soon. I hope that you can still be so calm at that time. Fan Houtian left with the injured and disabled soldiers. Lin Fei did not plan to stop him. He recalled the last sentence. It should be that I have indirectly offended another power by blocking the god Yuan Qi Sand. It seems that their background is not small. So what if they really come? I am now a great supremacy. No matter how many come, I will kill them all. After his fleshly body advanced from the 8th layer to the 9th layer, his powerful fleshly body strength and defense became Lin Fei's greatest confidence. Moreover, he also had the No Pardon Scepter, Shadow Stealth, and other cultivation techniques. Even if a great sovereign came, he wouldn't be able to take advantage of them. Brother Ao, you're really strong. Even Fan Houtian was forced to flee by you. The temporal temple has lost a lot of face this time. On another warship belonging to the Demon Empire, a tall black-armored demon said to Lin Fei. This was the second time Lin Fei had seen a demon from the demon country up close. He had to admit that the devils of the Devil Nation all had very powerful auras, giving off a very oppressive feeling. Lin Fei pondered whether or not he should get rid of the devils of the Devil Motherland so that he could contribute to his proud heaven. If you have something to say, just say it. The black-armored demon said, Brother Ao, with your strength, you can get the treatment of a great sovereign if you join any power. I wonder if you are interested in joining our demon empire? Our demon empire is willing to give you the treatment of a great devil. Lin Fei laughed. The temporal temple didn't even succeed in recruiting me. Your demon empire seems to be quite confident. Aren't you afraid that I will destroy all of you? The devils on the Devil Ancestor Country's warship instantly felt a chill spreading out from their bodies. Although our demon empire is hated by everyone in the Saint Spirit world, those powers might not dare to do anything in the Black Domain. As for us and you, we have no enmity. I believe Brother Ao won't harm us. The black-armored demon said slowly, The enemy of my enemy is my friend. We can send you a piece of news. The power that Fan Houtian mentioned before he left is indeed mysterious and special. He is the group of forging maniacs from the Sky Feather Nation. Forging maniacs, Sky Feather Nation. When Lin Fei heard what he wanted to hear, he was startled. It can't be. This is too much of a coincidence. Thinking about it carefully, the Saint Spirit world was huge. The amount of essence Force God sand was limited. Those who could refine essence Force God weapons or even complete essence Force God weapons were few and far between. Lin Fei had also relied on the systems helped to master the refinement of elemental energy weapons. It was indeed very difficult. Without knowing the refining method, it was as difficult as ascending to heaven. After thinking about it, it seemed like the mysterious Sky Feather Nation was the only place that could buy essence Force God sand in large quantities. Lin Fei realized that his reaction was a little slow. It seemed like there was no other place besides the Sky Feather Nation that would care so much about the essence Force God sand. The temporal temple must want to build a relationship with the Sky Feather Nation. The Sky Feather Nation's strength is not to be underestimated. I reckon that they might have a powerful treasure that can fight against a hierarch expert. Many thoughts flashed through his mind. Lin Fei secretly rejoiced that he had obtained the essence, Force God, sand in advance. The temporal temple must think that I am easy to deal with. They have tens of billions of Saint Spirit crystals left. In the end, they did not expect me to be more powerful than them. They have lost a lot of face. If Lin Fei had wanted to take advantage of them, he would have had to pay a huge price. Now that Ao Tian Tian was at the 9th level, there was nothing to worry about. Before he had a clear grasp of his own strength, they would be the unlucky ones. You definitely don't know those lunatics from the Sky Feather Nation. You definitely don't know how powerful they are. Let me give you a piece of advice. The Sky Feather Nation has the strength to fight against a hierarch. Even the 3 hierarchs outside have to give them face. The black armored demon wanted to let the other party know how powerful the Sky Feather Nation was. If you are willing to join our Devil Nation, the Sky Feather Nation will have to think twice before taking revenge on you. The black armored demon really wanted to rope the other party into the Devil Nation. The Devil Nation needed such experts. Such a hierarch expert had the strength of an early-stage great hierarch or even a middle-stage great hierarch. This kind of strength was absolutely terrifying. The Devil Nation has always been hunted by others. If I join you, I don't want to be hunted by the 3 major forces. Lin Fei shook his head. I also know that the 3 major forces will besiege your Devil Nation, soon to weaken your strength. I have no interest in becoming cannon fodder. It would have been fine if he didn't mention anything else. But the moment he mentioned this, the black armored demon laughed sinisterly and said arrogantly, "How can you know the strength of our Devil Nation? I might as well tell you. This time, the 3 major forces will join hands, but it is destined to be for naught. You can just wait and see." Lin Fei frowned slightly. "From what you said, it seems like the Devil Nation has something to rely on. I am interested to see what the Devil Nation is capable of." Hua. Lin Fei used shadow stealth and disappeared in front of the Devil Nation. What a powerful movement technique. He completely concealed his figure and aura. This is probably the power of a 10th level Saint Spirit realm secret technique. The black armored demon was very surprised. It's great that such an expert didn't join the Temporal Temple. I believe that in the upcoming battle, the Devil Nation will once again shake the Saint Spirit world. The shadow stealth was provided by the Dark Shadow Devil Lord. It allowed him to travel through the Dark Realm, and his movement technique was even more concealed. Within the Dark Realm was still affected to a certain extent. His movement speed was infinitely suppressed. The Devil Nation should have prepared something. When they besiege me, I will have to be careful lest I fall for their trap. Chapter 2958. The battle outside Azura King City fell into the eyes of many forces, daring to snatch something left behind by the Temporal Temple, especially in the Black Domain. Once one left this place, it was normal to be robbed. If it was outside, the Temporal Temple wouldn't be so unscrupulous, but it was different in the Black Domain. No one was optimistic that that person could withstand the attack. After waiting for a few decades, that person left the King City. Everyone paid attention to him, wanting to see how he dared to snatch something from the Temporal Temple. From the 3 brothers of the Su family, to the Wandering Spear King, and finally to the Temporal Temple, the black-robed man who they didn't have high hopes for had displayed the extraordinary strength of a great sovereign master, easily suppressing the Temporal Temple to the point where they couldn't even lift their heads. This was a huge setback. Those forces that were not optimistic about the outcome were also dumbfounded at this moment. Aotian Lord, a new expert from the outside. This body tempering technique is definitely top-notch. No wonder he has the ability. Luckily, I didn't go back then, or I wouldn't even know death. His strength is ridiculously strong. He's an outstanding expert in body tempering. Aotian's name quietly spread in Azura King City. However, it would take a long time for it to spread throughout the Black Domain. King City, Thousand Treasure Tower. Vice Tower Master Tang watched the entire process from his treasure, and his expression changed from sneering to shock. This paragon Lord Aotian is actually so powerful. Fan Haoyan is also a famous paragon, and he even brought the space-time battle squad, but he still couldn't defeat him. This Paragon Lord's strength is comparable to the ancient Paragon Lords. It's not the aura of a great paragon, but with the combat strength of a great paragon. No wonder he isn't afraid of the temporal temple. Vice Tower Master Tang was very surprised, and a trace of regret rose in him. Such an expert should have been recruited. He would be a huge help to the 1,000 Treasure Tower and the royal family of the King City. Go and investigate Paragon Lord Aotian's background immediately. I believe that such an expert will shine in the Saint Spirit domain very soon. Vice Tower Master Tang called for his trusted aid. This person's name will probably be on the God list very soon. The confidant was shocked. That person could be on the God list? Similarly, in an inconspicuous place in Royal City, the fight between Lin Fei and the Temporal Temple's Fan Haotian was being replayed in a small house. A middle-aged man revealed an excited expression. My luck is too good. I can't believe I'm able to encounter a martial monarch with the strength of a great monarch here. This is too heaven-defying. The middle-aged man maintained his excitement as he took out a document and began to jot it down. Suspected to be a top-notch body tempering art. The details are unknown, but it might be self-created. Extremely powerful. Close combat. Very fast. Mysterious background. High Lord's strength. Grand High Lord's battle prowess. 8th Order Heavenly God Realm Master. The middle-aged man kept recording. It's finally done. It can be passed on. Such a strong martial artist is completely qualified to enter the top 1,000 of the Sacred Spirit Domain's God list. After Lin Fei activated Shadow Stealth, the system had been monitoring his surroundings. After confirming that there was no one around, Zhang Xian took out the Blackfield battleship he had bought and headed out. There were a few ambushes along the way, but Lin Fei sent them straight to hell. The rest of the journey was uneventful. The journey back to the Blackfield battleship took half the time it took to arrive. This was the power of the Blackfield battleship. Lin Fei quietly returned to the Dark Shadow Palace. In just a few decades, no one had paid attention to him. A simple reason to go into seclusion was enough. He completely concealed his aura, maintaining his peak-proud Heaven 8th Order physique. He still couldn't break through to 9th Order Heavenly God Realm. That would be too dazzling, especially when it came to the physique cultivation path. It was notoriously difficult. Once it was revealed, many experts would be attracted. Now that he was at peak-proud Heaven 8th Order, Lin Fei's control over his strength had become more thorough. Even if he were to encounter a great monarch, he would be invincible just by relying on his moves. Lin Fei understood this point better than anyone else. The moment he came out from seclusion, Lin Fei had only enjoyed a few days. His eldest senior apprentice brother, Chongyang, had arrived. Junior apprentice brother, you're finally out. If you didn't come out, senior apprentice brother would have come looking for you. Chongyang said the moment he arrived. What happened? Lin Fei could hear the urgency in his senior apprentice brother's voice. Master wants to see you. Come with me. Leaving the cultivation dwelling, Lin Fei and Chongyang arrived at their master's cultivation ground. Just as they arrived, a giant hand descended from the sky without any warning, exuding boundless power, as if space itself was on the verge of collapsing. Lin Fei raised his hand and countered with a palm strike. The two collided heavily. Boom! After a loud explosion, a giant black hole appeared in the air. After several decades of seclusion, your strength has risen again. Not bad, not bad. Grand Venerable Hantian's voice came from the pavilion. The two came to the pavilion, and Grand Venerable Hantian looked at Lin Fei with joy in his eyes. You're getting stronger and stronger. I really don't know what body tempering method you've cultivated. My palm strike is so powerful that even an early-stage great supremacy might not be able to withstand it. I'm relieved that you can deal with it so easily. Grand Venerable Hantian had thought that Lin Fei's cultivation was monstrous, but now it seemed that he was too abnormal. The Shadow Throne has comprehended something after returning, so it's here, Lin Fei said. It seems that you'll be able to enter the divine list soon. At that time, you'll be a real figure in the Saint Spirit realm, an overlord. Grand Venerable Hantian said with a smile. Back then, it took me more than 30 million years to enter the divine list. You're much more powerful than me. I can't even imagine it. In the future, you might even be able to enter the top 100 of the divine list. Chongyang said enviously, Congratulations, junior apprentice brother. After so many years, you're still wandering outside the divine list. Now that you're on it, you'll be a real expert in the Saint Spirit realm. God ranking list. Lin Fei was stunned. He contacted the little devil and asked him to pull up the information on the divine list. He wouldn't have known if he hadn't looked at it, but the moment he did, he jumped in fright. Due to the large amount of information he had copied from the Dark Shadow Palace, most of it was directly stored in the system. He could pull it up when he needed it. Only after reading through the information did Lin Fei realize the importance of the divine list. Only those who had stepped into the Great Supremacy realm would know about this list. The divine list contained 500 Saint Spirit worlds, 9th Order, Heavenly God Realm Masters, including those from the Saint Spirit world and the Black Realm. Those who could enter this list were considered real experts in the Saint Spirit world. Any one of them could be considered an overlord of a region, an existence that could establish a sect or sect. Master, my strength is not bad, but it won't be that easy to enter the divine list, Lin Fei said casually. After all, anyone on the list has the strength of a great supremacy. Chapter 2959. The divine list has been updated. Grand Venerate Hantian and Lin Fei paused for a moment and said something unexpected. Both High Lord Chongyang and Lin Fei were surprised. High Lord Chongyang was surprised that the divine list had been updated, while Lin Fei was confused. Lin Fei didn't know where to look at the divine list. It was a very mysterious list. Look, the divine list has just been updated. Grand Venerate Hantian waved his hand and a list appeared. At the bottom of the list, a name appeared. I was surprised when I heard this person's name. Where did this expert come from? I didn't expect him to enter the divine list so quickly. He's ranked at the bottom 1,000. Master, I know this person too. His background is very mysterious. Let's see what it says. High Lord Chongyang was also interested. Lin Fei looked at the name at the bottom of the list and was very surprised that his clone's name was on the divine list. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. My clone, Proud Heaven, has entered the divine list before my true self. Even though he's ranked at the bottom of the divine list, he's still a top expert in the Saint Spirit world and the Black Realm. Lin Fei hadn't actually thought about entering the divine list. The list didn't just contain the cultivation techniques and strength, but also the battle records. It was obvious at a glance that Proud Heaven's clone had entered the divine list by relying on his strength and not by taking a shortcut. This Proud Heaven's body is very strong. He doesn't have the aura of a Grand Venerate, but his strength is at the level of a Grand Venerate. I really don't know how he cultivated. Junior brother, your opponent is here. He's a match for you. It seems that your battle prowess is very close to that of a Grand Venerate, High Lord Chongyang said. Almost, but compared to him, I'm still far behind. Lin Fei secretly rejoiced. The identity of Aotian has always been kept very mysterious. Even if someone suspected, they would not suspect him. This person is an expert. Great Supremacy Han Tian also nodded and said, he is indeed very powerful. Every expert who can get on the divine list is a genius, and only a few supremacies can get on the divine list. At present, only Supremacy Kongwin and a few others are qualified to get on the list. I didn't expect that Ao Tian Lord would come out of nowhere and suppress the space-time battle team and Fan Haoyan. He is really the young generation now. Lin Fei began to look through the names on the list. from the bottom to the top. Only the ultimate gods from the 3 top forces in the sacred spirit domain are in the top 10 of the divine leaderboard. The one in first place is called Yuan. What a strange name. The divine list reached the top 10. Looking at the names on it, Lin Fei was shocked. The strongest person in the saint spirit domain was not one of the 3 ultimate gods. There was still a gap between them inside. Hierarch Dark Shadow, 10th Order Heavenly God Realm, ranked 9th. Hierarch Slaughter, 10th Order Heavenly God Realm, ranked 7th. Hierarch Spacetime, 10th Order Heavenly God Realm, ranked 3rd. The one in first place was a name that Lin Fei had never heard of, Yuan. It made people think of the special energy that coexisted with the mainland, Yuan. What shocked Lin Fei the most was that there were very few records about Yuan. There were only a few sentences. However, the records were very scary. It was a black-clothed man who alternated between the void and the void, facing thousands of experts. Each of those experts exuded a terrifying and invincible aura. In front of this black-clothed man, with a light wave of his hand, he killed all of the experts. Even Lin Fei was shocked by a casual attack. This was too domineering. This is our Saint Spirit Domain's publicly acknowledged #1 expert. The divine list was also created by him. No one knows Yuan's origin, but we know that all the experts who challenged Yuan died. In the most glorious battle, Yuan single-handedly killed thousands of High Lords and hundreds of Great High Lords. This is the scene that the divine list can see. Great Venerable Shaker sighed. It's a pity that I was born too late. Otherwise, I could have seen this battle of invincible experts. High Lord Chongyang said with a smile, every time I see the elegance of the #1 expert, I am shocked by his strength. Even though the #1 Yuan expert has not appeared for a long time, no one can shake his position as the #1 expert. Lin Fei was absolutely shocked. Thousands of High Lords and hundreds of High Lords. Judging from their auras, the current High Lords couldn't compare to them. This was true strength. From the records of the divine list, Lin Fei could see that this was the most direct suppression of power, which ignored all attacks and was mighty. One touch was enough to kill anyone. I wonder if I'll have this strength when I'm at the 12th level of Proud Heaven. The difference between the 8th and 9th levels was more than 5 times. Now, a casual attack of his had the strength of a great High Lord. If he used his strength to increase it, it would be even more terrifying. Another body-tempering cultivator has appeared on the divine list. Even though he's ranked at the bottom, he'll still cause a big stir. This has nothing to do with you. You just need to cultivate hard, and in the future, you'll also be able to enter the divine list. Great Venerable Shaker dispersed the list and looked at Lin Fei. The encirclement of the demon motherland is about to begin. It's time for you and the Elysian sun to set off. Perform well. In the end, Lin Fei didn't say anything about the demon motherland. They came out of their master's cultivation place. Eldest senior brother Chongyang and Lin Fei walked side by side. Junior brother, on this trip to encircle the experts of the demon motherland, you have to be especially careful. Those demons of the demon motherland are all sinister and cunning. If you're not careful, you'll fall into their trap. Lin Fei nodded. I'll be careful. If those experts of the demon motherland want to kill me, it won't be that easy. I'm not that easy to deal with. Chongyang was relieved. Besides this, you also have to be careful of the people of the Massacre God Court and the Temporal Temple. They're not that righteous, especially Junior Brother. They're outstanding experts of the body-tempering cultivators and have more potential than ordinary Emperor will supremacies. They'll definitely play dirty tricks. Over the years, our Dark Shadow Palace has lost many experts to them, including some outstanding ones. Lin Fei didn't have a good impression of the Massacre God Court and the Temporal Temple. It didn't seem impossible for them to play dirty tricks in the dark. Doesn't that mean I can also play dirty tricks? Chongyang laughed. Junior brother, your way of thinking is different. You're right. As long as we don't do it openly, they won't say anything if someone dies. Although our Dark Shadow Palace, the Temporal Temple, and the Massacre God Court fight on the surface were actually allies. Although we're relatively loose, our target is also those people from the Black Domain. Chapter 2960. In the sky above the Saint Spirit Realm, a mighty and domineering black warship was advancing rapidly. On both sides of the warship hung a large black flag with the word Dark embroidered on it. It was the symbol of the Dark Shadow Palace. Wherever the black warship passed, everyone avoided it. The Demon Motherland is in a remote area. It would take too much time to fly there. This Black Realm warship is different. It's best for traveling. We can reach the periphery of the Demon Motherland in a month at most. A brawny man in a black cloak stood on the deck of the warship. He was Great Supremacy Black Jew, one of the 5 Great Supremacies. He was the one leading the team this time. Every time the Dark Shadow Palace and the other forces attacked the Demon Motherland, a Great Supremacy would lead the team. This time, it was Great Supremacy Black Jew's turn. Standing next to him were the geniuses of the Dark Shadow Palace. Among them, Dugu Yijian, Lin Fei, and the Elysian Sun were the most influential. They were the strongest of the younger generation in the Dark Shadow Palace. As for who ranked first, no one could guess. One had unparalleled sword Dao, one had the Buddhist Dharma, and the last had strength. This time, we brought the Dark Shadow battle team of the Dark Shadow Palace. We will definitely deal a heavy blow to the experts of the Demon Motherland. The Elysian Sun was full of fighting spirit. We will let them know that as long as the Dark Shadow Palace exists, they will never be able to take another step forward and live in that remote and barren place. Lin Fei and Dugu Yijian both laughed. The Demon Motherland had always been suppressed by the 3 forces. It was very difficult for the experts of the Demon Motherland to come out in large numbers. At most, they would sneak around like street rats. Great Supremacy Black Jew liked hearing this. This time, the team sent by the Dark Shadow Palace could be considered the most powerful one to encircle the Demon Nation. Not to mention anything else, there was Dugu Yijian, who was a peak supremacy and the Elysian Sun's Buddhist Dharma, which could deliver all living things from suffering. Coupled with the powerful Lin Fei, even 10 supremacies would not be a match for the 3 of them. Great Supremacy Black Jew stood on the deck for a while, gave some instructions, and then went into the cabin. He left the matters outside to the 3 of them. Lin Fei didn't have much interest in management. After Grand Monarch Black Absolute left, he chatted with the 2 of them for a while before leaving as well. Dugu Yijian did the same. The Elysian Son of Heaven was very interested in management. When he saw that the 2 of them were not doing anything, he was quite happy and took charge of everything. A month passed in the blink of an eye. We're almost there, Grand Monarch Black Jew said, pointing at the barren land in the distance. From the Black Field warship, one could see a completely different scene in the distance. It was a barren land with almost no signs of life. Not even a blade of grass grew on the ground. Sand and pebbles flew everywhere. Apart from the yellow sand that filled the sky, there was only more yellow sand. When Lin Fei arrived, he already understood the situation. This should be the Saint Spirit World's most desolate and remote Saint Spirit wilderness. Dugu Yijian said, I've also heard of this place. Now that I've seen it, it's indeed a barren land. The name wilderness is quite fitting. The energy of heaven and earth in this place is also quite sparse. It wasn't like this in the past, Grand Monarch Black Jew said. It's because a great war affected a large area, so it became like this. It'll take us a few days to reach the depths of the wilderness. The Saint Spirit Wilderness was very barren. The Black Field warship flew over the wilderness. 7 days later, they finally reached the depths of the wilderness. Rumbling energy, fluctuations, spread out continuously. At the same time, there was also a desolate aura. They must be training, Grand Monarch Black Jew said. In order to prevent the Devil Empire from coming out of the wilderness, the three of us gathered a large amount of resources and set up a battle line to trap them in the depths of the wilderness. An army camp appeared in front of them. That's right, they were army camps. The barracks were lined up in a row across the wildlands, forming a huge battlefront. It was just as Grand Monarch Black Jew had said. The huge army was training continuously. Dense, baleful auras gathered together, forming a terrifying aura that surged into the sky, covering the sun. It was extremely obvious. The Dark Shadow Palace's black field worship arrived at the army camps. In a huge army camp, a figure boarded the Dark Shadow Palace's worship, revealing a strong body that was brimming with killing intent. His eyes were bright and piercing. Brother Black Jew, I didn't expect you to lead the team this time. We can fight together again. The newcomer was very familiar with Grand Monarch Black Jew. The two hugged as soon as they boarded. I remember the last time I led a team here was 50 million years ago. Grand Monarch Black Jew sighed. He quickly recovered and introduced to Lin Fei and the others. This is Imperial Wind Beitang, a member of the Imperial Wind clan in the Saint Spirit world. He's a Grand Monarch. The Imperial Wind clan was quite influential in the Saint Spirit world, occupying 3 positions on the Divine List. At the same time, they were attached to the Dark Shadow Palace, so their status was not low. Lin Fei and the others stepped forward. Greetings, Grand Monarch Imperial Wind. Imperial Wind Beitang said straightforwardly. The 3 of them should be the most outstanding members of this generation in the Dark Shadow Palace. One of them is the Solitary Sword, which should be you, and the other is the Elysian Son of Heaven, who is skilled in the merciful arc of salvation. You should be Lin Fei, who has recently risen to fame. As a supporting force, Imperial Wind Beitang knew about the changes in the Dark Shadow Palace, especially Lin Fei, who is an outstanding body-tempering cultivator. Recently, it was said that this guy who had become a Grand Monarch after cultivating for 100,000 years had entered the last level of the Shadow Throne and obtained a lot of good things. Just for this, it was worth everyone's attention. After greeting them, Imperial Wind Beitang led Grand Monarch Black Jew to a military camp. This was just arranged. While Grand Monarch Black Jew arranged for people to take care of the following matters, they also went to a large camp in the military camp. You have to be careful this time. This time, the commander is Grand Monarch Killing Emperor of the Massacre God Court. You'd better follow the rules, Imperial Wind Beitang said as he set up a formation. That guy loves to find fault. Grand Monarch Black Jew's expression changed slightly. I didn't expect it to be his turn. Years ago, I fought with him and I won by a bit. That guy is narrow-minded and has always held grudges against me. I guess this time he's really going to do something. Lin Fei and the others could tell that something was wrong. Before coming, they had learned about the situation on the battlefield. The subordinate forces of the 3 major forces were all gathered here. This required a commander. The commanders were Grand Monarchs, sent by the 3 major forces in rotation. They carried supreme treasures, and with the formation of the military camp, their strength would increase infinitely. These commanders changed every 5,000 years. This time, it was Grand Monarch Killing Emperor of the Massacre God Court's turn to be the commander. Chapter 2961. Now that the person in charge of the Wildlands had become a member of the Massacre Court and was hostile to the Dark Shadow Palace, everyone was in a bad mood. Imperial Wind Beitang left after sitting for a while. Another peak supremacy expert from the Dark Shadow Palace had arrived. The Dark Shadow Palace had also arranged for an expert with the strength of a peak supremacy. With the help of treasures, he had the battle prowess of an early grand supremacy. Unfortunately, he hadn't entered the god list yet. The moment this peak supremacy arrived, he lowered his pride. After meeting Grand Monarch Black Absolute and listening to the introduction, he became very interested in Lin Fei and the others. It's great that the three geniuses could come. Hi, Lord Emoyang said in a good mood. It's time for the Dark Shadow Palace's younger generation to perform. Lin Fei and the others could hear the unintentional grievance in High Lord Emoyang's voice. So could Grand Monarch Black Absolute. Tell me about the Dark Shadow Palace's situation in the camp. With Imperial Wind Beitong's reminder, Grand Monarch Black Absolute was prepared to learn about the Dark Shadow Palace's situation in the camp so that he could be prepared in advance. Exalted Sovereign, said High Lord Emoyang, the Dark Shadow Palace's forces in the Wildlands have been doing well these past few years. However, after the departure of the previous commander, the new commander was replaced by the Exalted Sovereign. Our Dark Shadow Palace. High Lord Emoyang began to speak in great detail. Exalted Sovereign, our Dark Shadow Palace can't take this lying down. Their methods are clearly against the rules. Hearing this, Grand Monarch Black Absolute's face darkened. Everyone could feel the anger emanating from Grand Monarch Black Absolute. The Imperial Exterminator is really shameless. He actually dares to suppress our Dark Shadow Palace. From Emoyang's words, everyone could tell that after the Imperial Exterminator took over, the Dark Shadow Palace's influence had been suppressed. The number of injured had also begun to increase. It was obvious that the Dark Shadow Palace's strength was being consumed. Elysian Son of Heaven was the first to be displeased. Lin Fei and Dugu Ijin didn't speak. This matter was left to Grand Monarch Black Absolute. I'm here. If the Imperial Exterminator wants to do anything, he will have to think twice. Tell them that even if they have other ideas, they shouldn't break the rules and get caught by them. High Lord Emoyang finally relaxed. Facing a great supremacy on the god list actually put a lot of pressure on him. The encirclement and annihilation of the demon motherland hasn't started yet. You guys stay in the Dark Shadow Palace's barracks and rest well. When you're free, you can go to the front line to take a look. Lin Fei and the other two came out of the barracks. Almost immediately, a 7th Order Heavenly God Realm Master came up, leading them to the prepared camp to rest. The people from the Court of Massacre are too arrogant. I don't even know who set up this rule. I really want to find the people from the Court of Massacre and have a good fight with them. The Elysian Sun exclaimed. From High Lord Emoyang's words, everyone could tell that the Dark Shadow Palace had always been suppressed here. Their strength had also been weakened to a certain extent. Over a long period of time, it had also been a huge drain. However, the Dark Shadow Palace had no reason to pursue this matter. Everyone suffered losses. It was just that the Dark Shadow Palace's enemies were stronger, so they suffered more. This grievance was hard to say. Dugu Ijin was quite open-minded. The three forces have always wanted to compete for the #1 spot. This is normal. The Court of Massacre has quite a number of experts among the younger generation. When can we spar and teach them a lesson to vent our anger? I like this idea, Lin Fei added. We can't act recklessly within the rules, but we still have a chance to teach them a lesson. On the wilderness battlefront, inside the largest barracks, also the Alliance's headquarters. It was currently under the control of the Massacre God Court. The Imperial Exterminator was personally overseeing this place. Commander, they're here. The one leading them, Great Supremacy Black Supremacy, is staying in their own barracks. The 3 strongest young generation masters are here. One of the subordinates reported in a low voice. Sitting at the top was a black-armored, brawny man. His entire body was covered in ice-cold black armor, revealing only his hideous face, which exuded a gloomy aura. Black supremacy, haha! Unbridled laughter rang out. You've come on. This seat has been waiting for this day for a long time. After settling down in the barracks of the Dark Shadow Palace, Lin Fei did not remain idle. He first observed the barracks, and then, under the guidance of the heavenly god, he arrived at the front line of the wilderness battlefront. A huge city wall stretched out like a black line on the ground. From the top of the city wall, one could see that it was a barren land outside. Apart from that, there were countless piles of bones. In the farthest place, he could vaguely see a huge city. That was one of the cities of the Devil Motherland. There were a total of 6 such huge cities in the entire Devil Motherland, and they formed the infamous Devil Motherland. Despite being besieged by the 3 major forces, they had persisted until now. The Devil Motherland is really different from the rest. With just a glance, Lin Fei could see the problem. Even if it was just one of the big cities, it had a special and rich aura, as if it was a part of some great formation. The Devil Motherland itself is a treasure, or it has set up a terrifying formation. Within this formation, the strength of the leader will be greatly enhanced, and he can be said to be an invincible existence. Lin Fei could feel his heart palpitating. After reaching the proud Sky Ninth layer, he was even more sensitive to dangerous auras. The Devil Motherland was a huge threat to him. Lin Fei came to the city wall almost every day. He also saw the heavenly god experts of the barracks forming small teams and fighting with the devil generals of the Devil Motherland in the war zone outside. The battle situation was extremely tragic. The devil generals and other experts of the Devil Motherland were very strong. In a one-on-one fight, they had no advantage. They had to form teams to have a chance of winning. Small-scale battles like this happened almost every day outside the Wildlands barracks. Therefore, this place was also a place where Heavenly God experts fought and trained. Compared to the Heavenly God disciples cultivating in the Dark Shadow Palace, the Heavenly God disciples in the Wilderness battlefront had a clear improvement in both aura and strength. In a one-on-one fight, the difference was quite big. Even though this was a very good place to train, the death rate was too high. This was because the enemy was not just anyone, but the devil generals and devil gods of the Devil Motherland. All of them were strong and had strong defenses. The people from the Temporal Temple are here. Lin Fei saw a black warship appear. It was the special flag of the Temporal Temple, and it was hard not to recognize it. The black warship arrived at a military camp in the distance, which happened to be the camp of the Temporal Temple. Chapter 2962. With the arrival of the elites of the Temporal Temple, the people of the 3 major forces gathered in the boorish military camp. In the military camp of the Dark Shadow Palace, Grand Monarch Black Absolute received the news that the Imperial Exterminator would hold a small banquet tonight to introduce everyone and prepare for the upcoming encirclement of the Demon Motherland. With these words, Grand Monarch Black Jew sent a few people over and summoned High Monarch Mo Yang, Lin Fei, and the others. That Grand Monarch Black Jew said that we should get to know each other, but the truth is that he's trying to intimidate us so that he can take command of us. Grand Monarch Black Absolute disdained the Imperial Exterminator's invitation. We still have to go to the banquet. You have to get ready. Grand Monarch Black Absolute said, if the Massacre Court wants to intimidate us, they will definitely come for you. According to their character, they will only want to learn from each other. As the top figures of the younger generation, you will definitely be the target. High Lord Mo Yang nodded in agreement. That should be the case. Some time ago, the Massacre Court sent many experts, especially the High Lords and some veteran High Lords. Grand Monarch, our Dark Shadow Palace is not to be trifled with. I, the Elysian Sun, will be the first to let them know that the people of the Massacre Court will not dare to act presumptuously in front of us. The Elysian Sun was the first to speak. If they want to bully us, let's see if they have the ability to do so. Lin Fei and Dugu Ijin both laughed. We are not bullies. Whether it was the Elysian Sun, Lin Fei, or Dugu Ijin, They were the top 3 of the Dark Shadow Palace's younger generation. If the Massacre Court wanted to intimidate them, they might have found the wrong opponent. At the same time, on the other side, in the military camp of the Temporal Temple, this time the leader of the team was Grand Monarch Fengdong. He had mastered 2 emperor intents, space and time. In terms of ranking, he was far above Grand Monarch Black Absolute and the Imperial Exterminator. During tonight's banquet, none of us will fight. Fengdong Supremacy's face was white and beardless. His face was extremely pale and sickly. It was as if he was going to die at any moment. None of the people present dared to ignore him. It was this sickly person who was infamous in the Saint Spirit domain. His space-time and time-killing move had killed many experts. Great Sovereign, we know. Those seated below were all elites of the Temporal Temple. There were old supremacies and new supremacies. All of them were extremely famous. When night fell, in the largest military camp, the 3 forces were all gathered here. Dozens of high lords gathered together. The Temporal Temple and the Dark Shadow Palace stood opposite each other. After a simple greeting, they didn't do anything else. At the same time, they observed each other's younger generation. The confrontation at this banquet wasn't between the great monarchs. They wouldn't be stupid enough to start a fight. The ones who would be exchanging pointers would be the younger generation. Grand Monarch Black Absolute introduced the experts of the Temporal Temple to Lin Fei and the others. The one sitting in the middle is Grand Monarch Dark Cave. He's ranked 731 on the Divine List. He's well-versed in spatial and time magic, and he practices a powerful spatial and time magic move. The strongest of the Temporal Temple's younger generation, Kongwin, didn't come. It's said that he's cultivating in the Temporal Temple's secret realm. The one who came this time is the Temporal Temple's Luo Shin, who is second only to Kongwin. He's an extremely tyrannical fellow. His control over space is average, but his mastery over the Tao of Time is outstanding. While Grand Monarch Black Absolute was introducing the experts of the Dark Shadow Palace, Grand Monarch Dark Cave was also introducing the experts of the Dark Shadow Palace. The Dark Shadow Palace has been declining year by year. Their 3 strongest experts are the ones you saw just now. One is Duguijian, who is skilled in the Tao of Sword. The other is the Elysian Son of Heaven, who is very powerful in the Buddhist Dharma, especially the merciful arc of salvation, who can easily influence others. The last one is that black-robe Lin Fei. He broke into the supremacy realm in 100,000 years. According to our spies, this Lin Fei even has the battle prowess of a great supremacy. The Temporal Temple didn't lack information either. The Dark Shadow Palace is only so. Among the 3 of them, only Dugu Ijian's Tao of Sword is slightly troublesome. The others can't even withstand a single blow. In front of my flowing time divine art, they're all ants. Sitting next to Grand Monarch Dark Cave was Luo Shin, an extremely arrogant and domineering person. Although he was sitting with a golden saber, he was like a domineering mountain that could crush everything in its path. The Dark Shadow Palace is indeed useless. However, you should pay attention to the experts of the Massacre God Court, especially the eldest disciple of Grand Monarch Killing Emperor. Although he isn't their leader, he's still one of the 5 dragons of the Massacre God Court's younger generation. Got it. Grand Monarch Killing Emperor didn't arrive too late. He was clad in black armor and had a strong body. Boundless killing intent surrounded him, and from this killing intent, miserable and despairing screams could be heard. Phantoms could be seen struggling ceaselessly. It was a tragic sight to behold. All the supremacies felt a strong sense of crisis. This Grand Monarch Killing Emperor was tainted with a large amount of karma and evil karma. A single glance from him could make one collapse. Brother Black Absolute, Brother Dark Cave, long time no see. Grand Monarch Killing Emperor said to the 2 upon arriving. Those who didn't know better would think that they were old friends. Yes, long time no see. Congratulations on becoming a commander. Grand Monarch Dark Cave said with a smile. We're still waiting for you to destroy the demon motherland. Grand Monarch Killing Emperor liked Grand Monarch Dark Cave's words very much. Even if it was just a compliment, he was quite satisfied. After all, Dark Cave's ranking on the god list was higher than his. That day will come. We must destroy the demon motherland. Grand Monarch Black Absolute wouldn't compliment Grand Monarch Killing Emperor, so he gave a simple reply. Grand Monarch Killing Emperor didn't show any expression. If one looked closely, it was easy to tell if he was cold or hot. In recent years, the Dark Shadow Palace seemed to be on the decline. On the other hand, experts kept appearing in the Temporal Temple, especially Supremacy Kong, one of the younger generation, who had been advancing triumphantly. It was even rumored that once Kong came out of seclusion, he would definitely have the strength of a Grand Supremacy and would be able to contend against a late Grand Supremacy. Many people believed this rumor to be true. The Temporal Temple's influence expanded extremely quickly. Naturally, the Massacre God Court wouldn't defend the Temporal Temple. On the God list, Divine Supremacy Spacetime was ranked above them. To reunite everyone, cheers. Grand Monarch Killing Emperor took the initiative to raise his cup. Cheers. Everyone raised their cups and drained them in one gulp. 3 cups of wine were downed. The evening banquet had finally begun. Immediately, a fairy maiden came up to perform a dance. The melodious music and graceful dance made everyone watch with great interest. However, everyone knew that this was just the beginning. The real good stuff was yet to come. An hour later. It's too boring to just watch the fairy maiden dance. It's not exciting enough. Grand Monarch Killing Emperor shouted at the fairy maiden to retreat. We are all martial artists. Instead of watching these soft and unexciting dances, why don't we consider the younger generation? After all, they're the future pillars. Brother Dark Cave, what do you think? Chapter 2963. Grand Monarch Roaring Cave had long since seen through everything and didn't mind giving face to the Imperial Exterminator, so he agreed in a gloomy voice. Coupled with his sickly pale face, no matter how one looked at it, he seemed to harbor malicious intentions. The Imperial Exterminator was very satisfied. Brother Black Jew, you don't have any objections, do you? After all, we need everyone's cooperation to attack the demon motherland. Let's exchange some pointers in advance. Grand Monarch Black Jew nodded slightly. All right. Tonight's matter couldn't be avoided. Even if he refused this excuse, there would be another one. As the Commander-in-Chief, Grand Monarch Black Jew had to give face to the other side. He had confidence in his people's strength and didn't think they would lose. Soon, an empty space was cleared in the camp. Let's start with the teams, the Imperial Exterminator suggested. No one had any objections. The first match was between the Slaughter team and the Spacetime team. The whole process was very exciting, and there was no danger. The nearly 100 exalts present had witnessed the terrifying strength of the Slaughter team. When they attacked together, their strength wasn't inferior to theirs. The second match was between the Slaughter team and the Dark Shadow team, not the Dark Shadow team and the Spacetime team. Grand Monarch Black Jew didn't have any objections. This kind of exchange happened often. But when the two teams clashed, the Slaughter team's strength erupted, and they weren't as calm as when they fought the Spacetime team. Their killing intent surged, blotting out the sky. They did it on purpose. Seeing the Dark Shadow team retreating, the Elysian Sun was furious. They clearly went all out. Grand Monarch Black Jew frowned slightly. The Slaughter team's killing intent is indeed terrifying. Our Dark Shadow team is good at movement and concealment, but their real strength is still a bit lacking. The Dark Shadow team lost. They were completely defeated. All of them were badly injured. The Imperial Exterminator angrily shouted at the Slaughter team in front of everyone, then turned to Grand Monarch Black Jew and said, Brother Black Jew, I'm really sorry. Those guys didn't hold back and injured them by accident. How could Grand Monarch Black Jew not see it? It's normal to be weaker than others. There's nothing to be sorry about. The Slaughter team is very strong, and the Dark Shadow team will win it back in the future. It'll also let them know that there's always someone stronger, so they won't become arrogant. Well said. Grand Monarch Dark Cave said with a sinister smile. Teams need constant tempering. The more tempering they do, the more progress they will make. Grand Monarch Imperial Exterminator didn't intend to anger Grand Monarch Black Jew right away. Grand Monarch Black Jew was a Grand Monarch and an expert on the Divine List. He wasn't someone who didn't understand the bigger picture. Next, the other Shadow Battle team fought with the Space-Time Battle team. They weren't as good as the Space-Time Battle team, so they didn't lose as badly. I heard that your Dark Shadow Palace has a lot of experts among the younger generation. Why don't you invite them to come out and exchange some pointers? Those from our Massacre God Court have been eyeing them for a long time. The Imperial Exterminator suggested. At this moment, a green-robed young man standing behind the Imperial Exterminator came to the center of the field. Supreme Exterminator, I would like to interact with the prodigies of the Dark Shadow Palace. Please allow me. Before the Imperial Exterminator could agree, the azure-robed young man turned to the Dark Shadow Palace's side and said, I like to exchange pointers. I've long heard that the Dark Shadow Palace's geniuses have amazing strength. I wonder if you have the guts to come down and exchange pointers with me. The Imperial Exterminator said with a smile, This is my disciple Yen Kuei. He's a good-for-nothing who likes to spar with others. I can't even persuade him to come back. I've made a fool of myself. In his words, he did not mention at all that he wanted Yen Kuei to return. Great Sovereign, please allow me to go up and exchange pointers with this brother. A High Lord stood up. Grand Monarch Black Desolate nodded. Sure. Grand Monarch Black Jew wouldn't back down now that the Grand Monarch had come to him. Even though he knew that the Grand Monarch killing sovereign had done this on purpose, he couldn't refuse. Although it seemed like the Imperial Exterminator was being selfish on the surface. On the other hand, this involved the battle between the Dark Shadow Palace and the Massacre Court. If they backed down today, the news that the Dark Shadow Palace was afraid of the Massacre Court would spread the next day. Grand Monarch Black Absolute didn't want to bear such a heavy responsibility. Thus, he nodded and allowed the High Lord to go up. According to the Imperial Exterminator, High Lord Yen Kuei was a good-for-nothing. However, after he attacked, his killing chi surged like a vast ocean, and his killing moves came one after another. He immediately suppressed the Dark Shadow Palace's young supremacy, restricting 30 to 40% of his strength. After more than 20 moves, he was defeated. The High Lord of the Dark Shadow Palace is indeed not that great. He can't even defeat a good-for-nothing like me. Yen Kuei said sarcastically, Anyone else can come up and have a try. The Imperial Exterminator was very happy. This was the result he wanted. I'll go. Another young supremacy went up. He used a sword technique and walked a light and tricky path. However, he was defeated after 30 moves. Another High Lord of the Dark Shadow Palace went up and was easily defeated. Grand Monarch Black Absolute's face darkened. The High Lords of the surrounding subordinate forces also looked grim. They were all relying on the Dark Shadow Palace. The cultivation technique of the Massacre Court is really tyrannical, accumulating killing intent, and using a special method to display it, forming a domain that can suppress the opponent's strength and make them unable to concentrate. If this goes on for too long, even the Reverend of the Dark Shadow Palace will be defeated. Lin Fei watched quietly. He had to admit that the High Lord of the Dark Shadow Palace was a bit weaker than Yen Kuei. This good-for-nothing High Lord Yen Kuei's strength was extremely terrifying. He was a late-stage High Lord and was very difficult to deal with. Among the younger generation of the massacre court, he was at least an elite. Dugu Ijian looked over. There aren't many experts in our Dark Shadow Palace who can defeat this person. No wonder the massacre court is stronger than our Dark Shadow Palace. Interested? Lin Fei asked. Dugu Ijian shook his head. It'll take at most 3 moves to defeat him. It's not interesting. Lin Fei believed in Dugu Ijian's words. 3 moves. That was definitely 3 moves. No more. Why don't we let Brother Shin go? The two glanced at the Elysian sun and smiled. The Elysian sun understood tacitly. He had been suppressing his anger since the beginning. Using a late-stage High Lord was indeed a bit of a bully. There were many supremacies on the Dark Shadow Palace's side, but not many of them could defeat the other party. Even if they won, they would be in a sorry state. The only ones who could suppress them were probably Lin Fei and the other 2. Let me have a taste of your skills. The Elysian sun, dressed in white, walked out. As soon as the Elysian sun appeared, everyone took him seriously. He was one of the top 3 experts of the younger generation of the Dark Shadow Palace. I know you're an Elysian sun. You're skilled in Buddhism, Yen Kuei said. 1 move. Make your move. Chapter 2964. Elysian Son of Heaven personally appeared and emitted a powerful aura. Behind him was a huge Buddha that emitted 5-colored Buddhist radiance. Sanskrit chants resounded continuously. Little Yen, this is the Dark Shadow Palace's Elysian Sun. You must cherish this opportunity. He is the most outstanding genius of the Dark Shadow Palace's younger generation. The Imperial Exterminator said. Yen Kuei became excited as if he had been injected with chicken blood. Ha ha ha, 1 move. You are really boasting. Supremacy, Yen Kuei sneered. Then let me see how powerful the Dark Shadow Palace's genius is. Supremacy Yen Kuei was the first to make a move. He turned into a black fog that shrouded over. Once the black fog appeared, a murderous aura soared into the sky. Everyone felt a great impact and secretly circulated their chi to resist this murderous aura. To be able to accumulate such a thick, murderous aura, one must have killed countless people. This was a huge impact to any supremacy. Facing the monstrous black fog, the Elysian sun's expression didn't change. Pretentious. Hua hua hua. The Elysian sun's body emitted 7-colored Buddhist radiance. Under the Buddhist radiance, the murderous aura melted as if it had met its nemesis. Miserable cries came from within the black fog. A palm whizzed out and slammed onto the black fog. The Elysian sun's palm contained a holy aura. Large patches of black fog melted and Supremacy Yen Kuei's figure retreated several steps. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Little Yen, go down! The Elysian sun easily defeated Yen Kuei with a single palm. The Dark Shadow Palace's side was also delighted. It was easy to lose face if they kept on losing. Fortunately, the Elysian sun easily defeated his opponent. The Imperial Exterminator shouted at Yen Kuei to retreat. His face was expressionless, as expected of the Dark Shadow Palace's genius. Little Yen's defeat is not undeserved. Who else is willing to seek guidance from the Elysian sun? Don't miss this opportunity. It was fine if he defeated an ordinary supremacy of the Dark Shadow Palace. There was nothing to be proud of. But if he defeated the Elysian sun, then it would be interesting. Supreme, let me experience Brother Sheng's skills. A black figure rushed out from behind. Before he arrived, a dense, murderous aura shot out. The show is about to start. On the Temporal Temple's side, Grand Monarch Mingdong revealed a look of understanding. The eldest disciple of Grand Monarch Killing Emperor Nu Tao, one of the 5 dragons of the Massacre God Court. Luo Xin, who was sitting beside him, also revealed his fighting spirit. One of the 5 dragons of the Massacre Court. I really want to take a good look at it. Luo Xin was wild and arrogant. He would not underestimate any opponent. Grand Monarch black, desolate's expression also flickered slightly. What a cunning fellow! I reckon he is waiting for the sacred Son of Heaven and the others to appear. He actually sent his eldest disciple, Supreme Lord Nu Tao, one of the 5 dragons of the Massacre God Court, to attack. What a good scheme! Grand Monarch Black Jew was well aware of the 5 dragons' strength. Supremacy Nu Tao was a top-notch expert nurtured by the Massacre God Court. Grand Monarch Black Jew felt relieved. The Elysian Sons of Heaven's Buddhist cultivation innately suppress negative emotions, such as killing intent. I suppose they'll be able to fight to a draw. A draw is more like it. I know you, the most outstanding genius of the Dark Shadow Palace. Supreme Lord Nu Tao was wearing a black cloak, and his appearance could be seen clearly. His voice was so cold that it caused one's hair to stand on end. And I, Nu Tao, one of the 5 dragons of the Massacre God Court, will defeat you. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. It was the same move. Shrouded in black fog, disdain rose in the Elysian Sons of Heaven's heart. It was the same move again. No matter how many came, it would be countered. The 7-colored Buddhist light crushed over. In the face of the 7-colored Buddhist light, the shrouded black fog gradually turned into nothingness, as if it did not exist at all. The moment this move was made, the heart of the Dark Shadow Palace's Supreme Lord sank. He used the same move, but there was a huge gap between them. This was a powerful opponent. The 7-colored Buddhist light is only SOO. The black fog appeared again, arriving above the Elysian Sons of Heaven. A fist filled with killing intent smashed down, and at the same time miserable howls of wolves could be heard. This fist was extremely powerful. The Elysian Sons of Heaven's 7-colored Buddhist light turned into a shield that blocked the attack from above. When the opponent's attack landed on the shield, it caused ripples. The black killing intent was not affected much, and it continued to penetrate through the shield. The Buddhist protective shield is indeed powerful. It's impervious to all techniques. I wonder how many times it can block my attacks. The black fog above his head dispersed into several clumps, gradually condensing into figures. There were a total of 8 of them. When they appeared, the 8 black-robed men attacked together. Their auras kept increasing, climbing to the peak of the Supreme Lord level. The attacks of the 8 black-robed men were greatly enhanced, surpassing the peak of the Supreme Lord level, reaching the early stage of the Supreme Lord level. Their attack speed was extremely fast, and the crowd could only see a dense number of shadows. With this kind of attack efficiency, the power of each punch was the same without any variation. The faces of the supremacies behind changed. The 5 dragons of the Massacre Court were really not simple. The Elysian Sons of Heaven's Buddhist Dharma could suppress people, but in the face of the raging waves, they encountered a huge change and they were surrounded. The situation is not good. Lin Fei saw the problem. The Elysian Sons of Heaven tried several attacking methods, but he could not break through the siege of the raging waves. Those figures kept alternating between real and fake and could not be destroyed. This dragon of the Massacre Court is very strong and seems to be suppressing his strength. I suspect it has the explosive strength of a mid-stage Supreme Lord. Dugu Yijian also frowned. The Elysian Sons of Heaven might lose. The opponent must have some treasure that can resist the 7-colored Buddhist light. Lin Fei and Dugu Yijian could see that the Elysian Sons of Heaven were prepared. No matter which one he faced, he would have the advantage. The Imperial Exterminator was really good at scheming. Brother Black Jew, your Dark Shadow Palace's geniuses are still a little weak. The Imperial Exterminator laughed, his face full of pride. He wanted to attack the Dark Shadow Palace's influence. No matter from which aspect, the Dark Shadow Palace was inferior to the Massacre Court. Who knows until the end? Imperial Exterminator said. That Supreme Lord Nu Tao seemed to have heard those words. A trace of malevolence flashed across his face as he exuded a cold intent. The 8 shadows merged into one, and the 8 attacks instantly merged into one, piercing through the Elysian sun's shield and striking his chest, sending him flying. We have lost this battle. Imperial Exterminator Black Jew did not let the Elysian Sons of Heaven continue to attack. The Elysian Sons of Heaven had been injured by that attack, and his injuries were not light. The murderous aura had entered his body and black patterns had appeared. If he did not expel them, they would be greatly affected. The Dark Shadow Palace's geniuses are only SOSO. Elysian Sons of Heaven said complacently, his tone full of provocation. Lin Fei and Dugu Ijian did not attack. Imperial Exterminator Black Jew had suffered a small loss. In order to deal a blow to him, the Imperial Exterminator had arranged for no one to go out and spar until the Elysian Sons of Heaven returned. Chapter 2965. Great Monarch Black Absolute left with his people. The supremacies of the forces under the Dark Shadow Palace also left. Their backer was the Dark Shadow Palace. Losing the Dark Shadow Palace wouldn't be good for them. After Great Monarch Black Absolute left, the banquet ended on a sour note. Great Monarch Imperial Exterminator didn't show any displeasure on his face. He seemed to have expected this. Master, why didn't you let them stay? If you asked them, they wouldn't dare to leave even if they had 100 guts. After Great Monarch Feng Dong left, the banquet was finally over. Yan Kuei, who had recovered from his injuries, asked his master with a hint of confusion. Great Monarch Imperial Exterminator didn't get angry at his own words. He smiled and said, "The Dark Shadow Palace looks like it's on the verge of collapse. As long as that person is still around, no one can do anything to the Dark Shadow Palace. I have a conflict with Great Monarch Black Absolute, so I can't force him too much. If I ruin the plans of the 3 lords, no one will be able to bear the consequences." The disciples understood and sucked in a breath of cold air. Master, Great Monarch Black Absolute is quite patient. He won't be easy to deal with. However, I feel that we can make the Dark Shadow Palace suffer a great loss if we attack the Demon Empire. Supremacy Nu Tao said with narrowed eyes, "No rush, no rush. I have the authority of the barracks. As long as it's within the rules, everything has to be done according to my wishes. No matter how patient Great Monarch Black Absolute is, how long can he endure? As long as he breaks the rules, even if he doesn't die, he will at least lose a layer of skin." Ha ha ha. The disciples cupped their hands. "Congratulations, Master. You will be able to take revenge soon." A resounding flattery went up. In the barracks of the Temporal Temple, Great Monarch Feng Dong wore a sinister smile. "Little Luo, what do you think?" Great Monarch Feng Dong felt that the small banquet tonight was very exciting. Great Monarch Imperial Exterminator is too arrogant. Just like the rumors, he is not broad-minded. Back then, he lost to Great Monarch Black Absolute and has always harbored a grudge. Furthermore, the god ranking is higher than him. Now that he has finally gained the authority of the barracks, as long as it's within the rules, he will definitely deal a heavy blow to the Dark Shadow Palace. Luo Xin said indifferently, "And we can also benefit greatly from this matter. I believe that the Imperial Exterminator will come to visit you very soon. Perhaps tonight. Your analysis is excellent. The Imperial Exterminator's temper can't be changed. The Dark Shadow Palace is going to suffer this time. I believe that the Massacre Court also wants to suppress the Dark Shadow Palace. So, what do you think of those people?" The eldest disciple of the Imperial Exterminator, Nu Tao, is indeed powerful. He also has a secret treasure that allows him to erupt with the strength of a mid-stage exterminator for a short time. If he fought with me, my sun in moon space could easily injure him. Luo Shen said proudly. As for the rest of the Imperial Exterminator, they are not worth mentioning. On the Dark Shadow Palace's side, only Duguijian is difficult to deal with. Those body-tempering Lin Fei are the easiest to deal with. Great Paragon Feng Dong said with a smile, "This time the encirclement and suppression of the demon motherland is, in fact, a competition between our three forces. As a genius of the space-time God Temple, you must perform well. If you can suppress the Dark Shadow Palace and the Massacre Court in one fell swoop, it will be equivalent to making a great contribution. At that time, I can make the decision to recommend you to cultivate in a secret realm." Luo Xin's eyes brightened. "Thank you, Great Sovereign, for your help. Those people won't be able to stop me from becoming the greatest contributor to the annihilation of the demon nation. I will kill anyone who dares to block my path. On the battlefield, what does it matter if a few people die? Even high lords can fall. Not bad, not bad." In the military camp of the Dark Shadow Palace, Grand Monarch Black Jew violently expelled the killing intent from the Elysian children's body, and the black patterns that had appeared on his body disappeared, without a trace. "Great Sovereign, I miscalculated this time. I didn't expect them to be prepared," the Elysian children said with a guilty expression. "Next time, he definitely won't be so lucky." For the Elysian children, losing to Lin Fei or Dugu Ijian was fine, but losing to the people of the Massacre Court made him feel ashamed. "You can't be blamed for this," Grand Monarch Black Jew said. "The Imperial Killing Emperor's target was me. You guys were just collateral damage. I will remember this enmity." After appeasing the Elysian children, Grand Monarch Black Jew said, "The Imperial Killing Emperor wanted us to make a mistake and violate the rules. In this military camp, the last thing we can do is violate the rules. Those rules were set by the three hierarchs. For this reason, they even left behind a powerful treasure. No matter who it is, as long as they violate the rules, even if they are a great sovereign, they won't be able to resist that treasure. This is also the reason why I didn't get angry. Great Sovereign, can you tell us what kind of treasure it is?" Lin Fei asked curiously. "In fact, the military camp we are in has set up a super grand formation. Inside this grand formation, the Imperial Killing Emperor can control the formation to increase his strength to the peak Great Sovereign level," Grand Monarch Black Jew said. "The reason why the demon motherland has been unable to break through the front line is because of this formation. As long as it isn't a hierarch, those people alone won't be able to destroy the front line." The three of them suddenly understood. Peak Great Sovereign level strength. This peak strength was not as simple as they had imagined. He was a true expert. In the military camp of the Wilderness Battlefront, the Imperial Killing Emperor, who was the commander-in-chief, was equivalent to the number one expert. He could suppress everyone. This was the source of the Imperial Killing Emperor's confidence. He was in charge of the military camp of the Wilderness Battlefront. The three of them secretly sucked in a breath of cold air. The number one expert of this huge military camp was indeed terrifying. With the help of the formation's power, it was quite normal for his strength to soar. In the Saint Spirit domain, many countries, royal cities, and even the headquarters of the family clans would set up formations to greatly increase their strength. Within the formation, one's strength would soar, and one would be able to fight above one's cultivation level. None of this was impossible. Generally, very few people would attack large royal cities and other places, unless they were really strong enough to destroy everything. That was another matter. Before the siege of the demon motherland ends, you all have to bear with it. On the surface, the Imperial Killing Emperor is targeting me, but in reality it is also the Massacre Court suppressing our Dark Shadow Palace. This is actually very normal in the Wilderness Battlefront. The three forces will take turns to suppress one side, Grand Monarch Black Jew said. The three of them were not fools. Since Grand Monarch Black Jew had said it so clearly, they understood it very well. "We really have to behave," Lin Fei said with a smile. "That's a big rule." Chapter 2966. Ever since that banquet, the Imperial Exterminator didn't do anything against the Dark Shadow Palace. He did what he was supposed to do. Many people came to a realization. Were they seeing things? In the blink of an eye, 5 years had passed since Lin Fei arrived at the Boorish military camp. In these 5 years, he, the Elysian Sun, and the others led a Dark Shadow battle team. They killed many demon gods and demons of the demon motherland and rose to prominence in the Boorish military camp. Apart from them, the Massacre Court and the Temporal Temple also sent out some experts, including Yen Kuei, Nu Tao, and a few other geniuses from the Temporal Temple, such as Luo Xin. Besieging the demon motherland wasn't as easy as imagined. The demon motherland had a total of 6 big cities. They were built according to special arrangements, forming a large-scale formation. If they wanted to kill the experts of the demon motherland, they had to destroy the big cities. Every time they besieged the demon motherland, the 3 forces had to pay a huge price. The demon motherland's experts were trained even faster. They were almost invincible at the same level. This was the terrifying part. In order to prevent the demon motherland from coming out, they would join forces to besiege the demon motherland from time to time. On one hand, they could weaken the enemy's strength, and on the other hand, they could train their disciples. It was a good thing to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Even if they had to pay a huge price, the 3 top forces never frowned. I heard that they are going to discuss attacking the big cities of the demon motherland. Lin Fei returned with the Dark Shadow battle team. Before he could relax, Great Sovereign Black Jew sent someone over to discuss the matter. Looking at the time, it's about time to start. In these 5 years, Lin Fei had a better understanding of the demon motherland. However, the demon motherland was still very mysterious. He couldn't help but think of the Dark Shadow Devil Lord's words. The 3 top forces had been besieging the demon motherland and killing its living forces. Was it because of the Dark Shadow race? If he hadn't heard this secret from the Dark Shadow Devil Lord, Lin Fei really wouldn't have thought of this. The Dark Shadow race has nothing to do with me. Killing the experts of the demon motherland will be a justifiable reason for me to plunder their life energy and push my proud Heaven Ninth Layer physique up. Ever since Lin Fei learned that he would be participating in the war against the demon motherland, he didn't refine many life crystals and kept them in reserve. The demon empires, demon generals, and demon gods were of the same cultivation realm, but the life force in their bodies was much stronger. Their physical bodies were also very strong. This was a very powerful race. Compared to them, the human race was much weaker. If not for the 3 top factions stopping them, no one doubted that they could conquer the Saint Spirit domain. This was the potential of the demon motherland. When Lin Fei arrived at Grand Monarch Black Absolute's camp, Duga Yijian, the Elysian Sons of Heaven, and the other exalts were all present. I heard that you killed another dozen or so demons. Not bad, you killed more than me. Elysian Son of Heaven greeted Lin Fei. I'm lesser than you. Those demons seem to be hiding. It's really not easy to find them. Ever since he lost the last time, all the Fiend Celestials and fiends outside had become unlucky. In these 5 years, it was unknown how many had been killed. But compared to Lin Fei, they were much weaker. Elysian Son of Heaven naturally did not know that Lin Fei had the system's scanning ability to find fiends. Lin Fei was not like him, who needed a long time to find a fiend, and this depended on luck. Coming, we're all here. Seeing that Lin Fei had taken a seat, Grand Monarch Black Absolute began to speak. He briefly mentioned the recent situation and then got to business. According to my guess, our official encirclement and suppression of the demon motherland should be within these 3 to 5 days. Everyone's expressions became grave. Encircling and suppressing the demon motherland was completely different from fighting in the periphery. There were times when people would die. The demon motherland had been under constant encirclement and suppression. Their reproduction rate was faster, and there were many experts appearing. Every encirclement and suppression was very stressful. This time, our Dark Shadow Palace will do the same as before. We will first cut off the connection with the big cities, and then collectively attack a big city. Although it's an old trick, no one can guarantee that the demon motherland will not make any changes. Everyone must be careful. 3 days later, Grand Monarch Black Absolute and the other Grand Monarchs received the notice and held a secret meeting. No one knew what was said. After the secret meeting ended, the army camp began to move. Grand Monarch Black Absolute returned to the Dark Shadow Palace's army camp and immediately summoned everyone. The encirclement and suppression of the demon motherland has officially begun. Our mission is to cut off the communication points outside the big cities. I plan to leave this matter to the three of you. Grand Monarch Black Absolute briefly explained the details of the attack on the first big city of the demon motherland. The Grand Monarchs would work together to attack, and they would need to break through the few hubs outside the big city. After explaining the situation, no one had any objections. In fact, no one would have any objections. As the ambushers, you must act quickly. As long as you destroy the hubs, you can retreat. Do not linger in battle. If you encounter experts, retreat if you can't beat them. Lin Fei and the other two each received a hub to attack. The demon motherland was a special force. 6 big cities formed a huge demon motherland. Each big city had a large population and countless experts. It would be very difficult to attack the big cities head-on. However, the demon motherland had a flaw. The demon motherland had become a powerful treasure under the arrangement of the big shots. There needed to be a certain connection between the two. These hubs were the key to this. After destroying these hubs, the defense of the city would be weakened, and it would be easier to break into the city. The difficulty would also decrease. Every time, these hubs would become the key to victory or defeat in the battlefield. The confrontation at these hubs would become a confrontation between the 3 great powers and the demon motherland. Lin Fei selected 15 supremacies and 3 shadow battle squads. Under the cover of the night, they entered the battlefield. At the same time, the geniuses of the 3 forces led their teams and went straight to the hubs to destroy them. Under the amplification of the formation, the Imperial Exterminator directly attacked the first big city. Even though the distance was quite far, under the amplification, the Imperial Exterminator's strength increased. His strength was infinitely close to the Hierarch realm. Sweeping across the sky, he arrived at the first big city, Demon Earth City, and heavily slammed his palm down. In the sky above the Demon Earth City, waves of brown shield ripples rose continuously. Imperial Exterminator, it won't be easy for you to destroy the Demon Earth City. A loud and clear voice soared into the sky from the big city, and a figure appeared. A spear pierced through the air, causing a huge commotion. You have to pass through me first. The Imperial Exterminator and the experts of the Demon Earth City began to fight across the sky. The huge sky above the battlefield exploded, and a terrifying aura swept across the entire wilderness.